live on YouTube. So we have not forgotten about our YouTube friends. And please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The One Mic Show. And then follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show. We are also taking live calls, 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. So save that number. Now later tonight, we'll talk about an explosive BBC investigative piece that exposed Nigerian pastor TB Joshua. Now Ruth, who's in studio with us, will tell us why she thinks most people are just one step away from joining a cult. Please start dropping comments and let us know what you think of the TB Joshua expose by BBC. Na bila kusahau, tapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Omoshfire na kudunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och jezi nambari 7 mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo. Moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios, ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now this hour, we'll talk to our freshly returned summer bunnies on their experiences in Kenya. I will also explain why I choose to wear this scarf despite being cautioned by friends as we talk about the genocide in Gaza. And my, oh my, elections 2024. Will it be a Trump-Biden rematch, or will Nikki Haley ruin the octogenarian festival about to happen in November? Drop a comment below to let us know what you think. And I'm your co-host and producer, Ali Badawi. It's Friday the 26th of January, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to follow The One Mic Show on Facebook, Instagram, on YouTube. And on panel with me tonight, Kamakawa, we have One Mic. Ruth is also in studio tonight. Sports anchor Mika Och will join us via Zoom. And our resident DJ Moshfa is already live on the decks. Akitu roga mpaka watu wengine naona wanatoa machozi. And also not forgetting that our super producer is Mubelwa Bandio. And we're going to get started. Now, before we get started, want to acknowledge, there's already a lot of people that are tuned in here, and asanteni sana for tuning in. I can see Sleo Dwar kama kawa yuko pale ndani without a miss. I can see Washeke yuko pale ndani. I can see Pablo anasema, huu ni mwaka mpya kweli. Ali Badawi amejua kuhusu highlight na followers. Sasa Pablo, kwa vile sasa mimi ambaye niko nyuma katika mambo ya technology kidogo nimeijua. Sasa tusaidie kwa kugonga hiyo followers na kugonga hiyo highlight on your profile. And everybody else listening, hit at followers. The small things, like last year people are asking us, like, you guys have been doing this for so long. What are some things that we can do to help? Small things like this. Ingia kwa comment, at followers, at highlight. You're allowed to use it only once in a day. On Fridays, reserve it for The One Mic Show.
Kabisa?
Yes. And I want to welcome everybody else. I think I also see Stephen Batty's in the building. Watu wameingia wengi sana. And then I can also see Slayer anasema it's the pronunciation for pastor for me. Pastor TB Joshua. We will be talking about him. Yeah, I'm just trying to be, like authentic and say it like the way it would be said by the people. Because this was a very serious expose, and we're going to be talking about it.
Christians will come for you.
Yes. And karibu sana uno Mike. New Year message before they come for me. New Year message.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Opening prayer. Baba, katika jina la Yesu, tumekuja leo detuoka wokohoya na kuga ni thengio ni guturehe mwaka mufya thengio.
Okay.
Bandio, what is it?
All right. Karibu sana. We also want to take this opportunity to welcome Ruth, who's in the building. And Ruth is we're going to be talking to Ruth about TB Joshua later on in the episode. She, has a very controversial position regarding, cults and why, people are susceptible and why you might be one step away from joining a cult. Ruth.
Hello. 100% we are all one step away from being in a cult, I believe. But before we delve into that, I just want to say I'm so happy to be back in the studio. It's a new year. I'm seeing people, giving me love. Thank you so much. I really, I see you guys. And yeah, cannot wait to start this year with everyone.
All right. So as we're waiting for Omosh to introduce himself, just a reminder for those who are just joining us today, we're of course going to be talking about the war in Gaza, taxes being loaded on Kenyans, and then of course there's the TB Joshua expose, and of course there's elections 2024. That's a big deal. Annette, who will be with us on a couple of episodes throughout the year, is our US politics expert, and she knows it inside out. She's a Democrat operative, she's an insider, so she has those small details that you don't have. And then I think we also have Mika already live. Mika, unatusikia?
Party people. When the jet lag.
Okay, I think Mika is still on jet lag now.
I am lagging with jet.
Yeah, so before we get to Mika.
Memaliza kujinyonga nyonga hapo.
Okay, oh my goodness, Mika. Happy New Year. Happy message. A happy message, Mika. Karibu.
Naona watu walirudi bado tu kama last year. Hawaja change.
Hawaja grow.
Hata heri mngebaki Kenya msirudi. Sijui mngerudi kwani.
Damn.
Says the guy
who came in last, and that's why the show is today.
And that's the reason. Hiyo ni uchungu ya kurudi US. Alirudi akapata snow. Hiyo ni uchungu hiyo hapo. I can hear the pain.
But today was
in
good
his voice.
though.
Yeah. But when he was coming back. Yeah.
My brother landed in the storm, 10 inches of snow.
Okay, from Kenya or from
Boston?
Okay.
Yeah, from Kenya.
Yeah, Mika.
This is the one time I've actually landed in the States and it's warm.
Okay.
Snow
for ground.
There was snow
warm
to be seen, but
Yeah.
it was actually warm.
It was warmer weather. But tulikutana na
Very
snow.
warm weather.
Yeah.
Lakini jet lag sasa ndo shida. Nikilala katikati ya show msikasirike.
Okay.
Yeah,
but we appreciate you being here despite kurudi recently na bado clock has not adjusted, mental clock has not adjusted, but we're going to talk to you. Mambo za AFCON nini. You're going to give us the lowdown on everything that's been happening in AFCON, so want you to stay tuned. Now want to go to AFCON. Now we want to go to DJ Omosh Fire. We want to go to DJ Omosh Fire. DJ Omosh Fire, wait your turn.
Sorry.
And then utaingia.
Salimia
watu.
Happy
messages.
Rules. New year, new rules.
Happy messages.
Habari yenyu watazamaji, jina langu ni Omosh Fire, karibuni kwenye show ya One Mic.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, DJ Omosh Fire. Karibu sana from Kenya. When did you come back?
Just before Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Day.
Now Uno Mike, when did you come back?
last Thursday.
Okay. Mika ulirudi lini?
On Tuesday.
Okay, we're gonna start with DJ Omosh. Now, before we get to DJ Omosh, real quick, I think a couple of people were asking kwa comments, amona kuna new uniform. Yeah.
And they want for the audience too.
Yeah, One Mic show. Na kuna wale, the audience that wants this uniform.
Yeah.
Please tag me. And you can't tag me as at highlight and at followers. tag my name,
okay,
so that I have a record of who wants it. But I will only give you under one condition.
There is a condition.
Yeah, there's a condition.
Yes.
There's just one condition, that you have to wear it. Not as a not as a daily fashion statement,
yeah,
but or at least there has to be an intent of wearing it.
Yes.
And I will tell you events that are happening in your city. Because tuko kila pali, for those who are not familiar, this is all regarding, this is our small form of protest for the war in Gaza. I don't even want to call it a war, because you're fighting a people who are literally defenseless, or rather you're killing people who are literally defenseless. So for those who want it, please tag my name, and I will let you know, tag my name and your city, and I will let you know an event and a date where you can wear this and you will be welcomed, and people there will not be triggered. Because I have to caution people, this thing has become a trigger to a lot of people, to a lot of pro-Zionists. I'm not gonna say, and I also wanna say that to the people who are pro-Gaza, pro-Palestinian, be very careful. It's not all Israelis who are for this kind of Zionists. It's not all Jews who are for this.
It's Zionists.
It is Zionists. the Zionists, and Zionists, some of them are Israeli, and some of them are European, some of them are even African. You know, like there's Zionists.
The ICJ Ugandan
Yes.
lawyer judge.
We're gonna talk about that a bit
sorry,
later.
Sorry.
But yeah, so just a reminder for those who want this, please tag me and let me know, and I will send it to you. And of course you have to inbox me your address.
Okay, I need to show that I have mine.
Okay? And maybe can you explain why you're not wearing it?
Yeah, because I have mine. I said I'll wear it to a protest with Ali next time.
Okay.
Because that is the condition that he gave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Normally I don't wear scarves.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
If for Ruth, we'll let that slide. If it was Uno Mike, Ama Omosh.
Anyway, that's not fair. Me, I
Ama
think
Mika.
that's
Wange
discrimination.
kula
Hiyo scarf irudi pali back to sender.
Wangekula whips. Now, here's an interesting thing. Regarding these protests, the biggest one so far, I think, were the ones in DC. I've attended 2 in DC, and both of them had close to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 400,000 people. And of course, those who need evidence for this, we will share it with you. Now, when this was being reported by a lot of media houses, even media houses I like NPR, they were saying tens of thousands. Now, this 400,000 number, people are asking, how can you count 400,000 people? There are experts who know how to estimate numbers of people by looking at crowds. There's a science behind this. And the estimate was 400,000 people. It is the pro-Zionist protests were barely doing 20,000 people. And a lot of people who are going there were being bussed in, were being brought there. This one, people were coming. And another interesting thing I noticed, and actually a stat was released on this, anecdotally, my expectation was will mostly be Muslim people out there. But anecdotally, I noticed, like there were many people who were not Muslim. In fact, the Jewish community, they were there so deep, and I believe these are some of the ones who come from New York, the ones who wear the hats and everything. They were there with all in support. So the stats that were given was about 40% non-Muslims who attended that protest. Polls currently show that about 66%, give and take, I could be, off a percentage or two, give and take, but 66% of Americans want a ceasefire.
100%.
Yeah, and this war in Gaza is what's showing how broken the political system in the United States is. Where there's certain issues, and this is not the first issue.
Just
there's
the
certain
US
issues.
and the West.
Correction, I don't think it's a war. Washeke said
It's
a
genocide.
It's a genocide.
Thank you.
Yes.
So it's not a war.
genocide. It's a genocide. And what I was saying is that I'm saying particularly because America is the one entity that has the power to turn off the lights for Israel and stop it tomorrow. So they've chosen not to do that, and it's American weapons that have been supplied to Israel that are killing, like the innocent Palestinians. So America is as culpable as Israel. And the brokenness of the political system is because you have 66% of the population that supports a ceasefire, but the political system will not allow Congress and Senate to do this, and I believe it's because they believe there will be no consequences for them not supporting what the American people have said in the polls. And that's the reason why this will become a very, very important election. Besides the presidential ticket, your local Senate race, your local congressional district, if this issue is important to you, and it should be, because
it should be.
Yes,
it should be. I just
it
don't
should
have
be.
hope.
It should be important to you. If this issue is that important to you, try to figure out, the local, go to vote.org and find out who's your Senate representative and who's your congressional House representative, and figure out their position on this issue. And,
And
go,
your state representation too.
yeah, so go talk with your vote. Don't just talk with your voice, but talk with your vote. I'm going to let Ruth say one or two things about this before we proceed.
I mean, I want to have hope, honestly. I really do. But I think the choices we have on the ballot right now, it's questionable, to say the least.
An octogenarian festival.
What is that? I heard you say that.
Wordplay.
You know, good one. But
you may have to define octogenarian for some people.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Wacha Ruth amalize.
Yeah. These old people, they're all 80 years and above. There you go. There.
Shouldn't have said.
So my take is vote for people who align with your values and what you want to see in the world. Unfortunately, I don't see the two people that I think are going to be on the ticket really doing any different than they are right now. There's that
on the issue on Israel.
I think this is a point we actually are going to choose the better of the two evils.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question. Even if these two people are not on the ballot, these two people are not on the ballot, which American politician is going to be there for a ceasefire in Israel, in Palestine? Let's just be realistic. It's time that narrative or that falsehood that really Israel is to be protected to do what it needs to do needs to stop, because this is something that happens across all divides. It's Republican, it's Republican, it's Democrat. All of them are going to do the same. The only difference you'll see, even if you notice politicians who are pro civil rights, even if you take a deep dive down, you'll find that most of the politicians who are pro-Palestine are actually immigrant politicians and who are new to coming up. They're politicians who you will never say that they'll have that power to come and change the policy of how the country is. So it just gets to a point whereby it's not, let's just say it's not just a thing about this election, it's a point whereby there's some things which are supposed to be unlearned. And one of that is a history that Israel is this state whereby it was designed out of religion or whatever it is that they were doing. The realities which are supposed to be put out that this was a colony that people have gone in and settled in an area and settling and people through non-humanitarian ways. So as much as we say, as much as we can want this as a topic for election this year, and it should be a topic of election this year, it's just that there is nobody in the political divide that I see is going to change this anytime soon. And it's not just supposed to be a topic for this election year. It's supposed to be something moving on from now. Whatever Israel is doing needs to stop completely from today moving onwards towards the future. So it's just that I believe these are topics where we have to, as a society, to start learning people to understand that there is nothing special about Israel rather than just atrocities, genocides, and all these inhumane things that they're doing, and stop the political divide or whatever it is that is hiding behind all these policies they're hiding behind to try and maintain the state of Israel. It should go. First of all, they should do a ceasefire. If they cannot do a two-state, if they cannot get into a two-state agreement, I think it's time they should figure themselves out and leave Palestine for the Palestinians.
Okay, asante sana, Mika. Now, Mika brings up some very salient points that I want us to discuss before we proceed. And very interesting point of views. Now, Mika said that there are no people in America right now in politics who can who actually support this ceasefire. There are no potential candidates, or there's literally almost no one in politics who supports, because this is bipartisan. It's both Republicans and Democrats. This one, all of them have fumbled big time on this one. I think this hurts the Democrats more because it's a party that has, always,
that's in power,
positioned it's in power, and it's always, marketed itself as the party that cares about human rights. And all that schmiggity schmag, stealing that from Uno Mike. But but yeah, they've always marketed themselves. So I think they're the ones who this will hurt the most. And an interesting thing I did while Mika was talking, because I'm very concerned about artificial intelligence and these new tools, like Google Bird, ChatGPT. This is a live question that I asked, and I am going to paste it on the comment section so that anybody can, like ChatGPT was asking me to log in, too much work. I'm going to paste it in the comment section. Someone post the same question on ChatGPT, see if it's going to give an answer. So the question that I asked was, list members of the House and Senate who support a ceasefire and the war in Gaza by name and states where they come from. Very simple question, very non-controversial. You would think a list would pop up.
You cannot say that's...
No, it's a simple question because...
It's simple, but you cannot say it's non-controversial, though.
It's non-controversial because this is public record. It's non-controversial. When you're asking questions that cannot be verified, like exactly how many people, for example, died in Palestine. So yes, there are organizations that are verifying, but the average person has no verifying that. But this one, any average person who owns a phone with Google can get this list.
Okay, what's the question?
So the question, and I'm going to paste it, so to make your work easier. Question says, list members of the House and Senate who support a ceasefire in the war in Gaza by name and states where they're from. The response, before we go to ChatGPT, the response, the conflict in Israel and Gaza is complex and changing rapidly. If you'd like up-to-date information, try using Google search. So at least they've absolved themselves because, I think answers that are given here, Google may be liable. So they said use a Google search. I'm going to paste that question, and let the show keep flowing so that, anybody can just paste it on ChatGPT and see, what will pop up, and then you can type in Hapoko answers. What's happening. But yeah, the ones that I know who openly support a ceasefire, of course, is Rashida Tlaib from Michigan and Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. Of course, those who know Rashida Tlaib is the only American Palestinian in Congress. And then Ilhan Omar, of course, is Somali American.
And all of them are second. Are they second? Are they first or second generation?
No, actually, Ilhan. I'm not sure about Rashida, but Ilhan grew up in a Kenyan refugee camp.
Okay, so
Ilhan spent time in a Kenyan refugee camp, so we have some connection to her. She spent time in a Kenyan refugee camp.
And that is where my point was coming from. Was the only politicians who are loud enough about Palestine and have actually put in a stand about Palestine are actually not even American. The way people say, like, you're not real red-blooded American. So we need to, this conflict needs to end now. But for the sake of avoidance of future conflict, the lie that is Israel need to be deconstructed and changed completely.
Wow. Okay. Washeke Ndirangu says American politicians on both aisles will not support ceasefire due to economics, especially being an election year, and those mega donors for both parties. I see Washeke also now knows how not to be shadow banned. He has that other spelling for Israel. Yeah, very interesting spellings. But the shadow banners are catching up with this new spelling. So you have to always come up with new spellings so that you're a step ahead of the shadow banners. Anyone who gets what ChatGPT says, please let me know.
I'll read mine and then I'll read Pablo's.
Okay.
So mine says, I don't have real-time data access or the ability to provide current political standings, including the specific support of members of the House and Senate. For the most recent information on political stances, I recommend checking official government websites, news sources, or contacting representatives directly. Wow. That is a PR statement.
Yes.
So let me go to Pablo. It says, as of my last knowledge update in January 2022, I don't have specific information on individual members of the U.S. House of Representatives of the Senate who may or may not support military actions in Gaza. Additionally, political positions and opinions can change over time. To find the most up-to-date information on this topic, I recommend checking recent news sources, official statements from representatives, or their respective official websites. Keep in mind that political stances or international conflicts can be complex and nuanced, and individual members may have varying opinions even within the same political party.
Okay. All right. Good. Was that from ChatGPT or?
That was Pablo's ChatGPT.
Okay. All right. Good. Now here's an interesting thing, real quick. We know our way around the internet, and we're able to come up with that list. So there's actually a good number of politicians, meaning members, representatives and senators, who are actually supporting a ceasefire. And I think they need to be lauded because this is a very risky political position, because IPAC, which is the American Israel Political Action Committee.
Yeah, it's the most powerful.
It's the most powerful, and they can kill your political career forever.
Yes,
They can shadow ban you forever, meaning you'll never be able to come back into politics. That's how powerful they are. But and by supporting the ceasefire, you're under that risk of IPAC pouring money for someone to run against you in your primary, and if you win your primary, in the general election.
The general election.
So I'm gonna start with the senators. There's a group of.
Where did you get your list from?
It's on a website called winwithoutwar.org. That's congressional support for ceasefire. So the senators, we have Senator Dick Durbin, Illinois. I don't know whether we have any Illinois listeners. Jeff Markley, Oregon. And then we have Chris Van Hollen, Maryland. So that's someone who's gonna get my money. And I'm sorry, people will say you're voting on one issue, you're voting emotionally. This is very important. Chris Van Hollen, you have my contribution. Elizabeth Warren, Massachusetts.
Yay.
I know we might have some people who are registered to vote in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Warren is also supporting that.
Yeah.
And Peter Welch from Vermont. I'm surprised not to see Bernie Sanders' name on this list, because I think his position is
about that.
He's been very vocal, but I don't think he's outright said that we want a ceasefire. So these are those who want a ceasefire outright, unconditionally. And then when it comes to, I don't think I can even mention all of them. I can't even count them. But
anybody from Texas wants to know.
There's quite a number here. So let me look for the states that I know. Tell me the state that you want me to check, and I'll check for you. So Texas, there's Greg CASA Kazar. That's Texas District 35. I don't know where that is. And then there's Joaquin Castro. I think people know Joaquin Castro.
Yes.
That's Texas District 20. So this you can Google and find out exactly where it is.
Joaquin.
Yeah. I mean, like Sibora watu wameelewa.
Joaquim.
Joaquim.
Semantic.
Excuse me.
Amesema vile Watanzania usema hiyo.
Wacha bandiwa sikusikia.
Bandiwa, luckily is not here.
Okay, let me see. Is there any other Texas?
What about the Carolinas?
There are those Texas. Goja tumalizane na Texas. Oh, Texas, it's only those two. Okay, let's go to the Carolinas. The north one or the south one or both?
Both of them.
Any will do.
Okay, so so in North Carolina, there's Alma Adams, North Carolina District 12. Google this district to find out, if you're from North Carolina, to find out exactly where this is. And then I really don't see anyone else from North Carolina. NC, Mokoapi, no, I think NC. That's the only one that you have. South Carolina, I am not seeing any.
For sure, you're not going to see Tim Scott or Nikki Haley or Nimrata.
Oh, yeah.
Nimrata.
No, Nimrata is definitely not going to be there. That's Nikki Haley. And that's her real name, by the way. What are the South Carolina? I'm not seeing any South Carolina. The ones that I'm not going to read, but I'm going to share this link on the comments so that people can review it to find out. California weko wengi. Like there's so many. I can't. I think they're like more than 20, or maybe 15 to 20 from this list, because I'm just browsing through faster. Of course, in Maryland we have Chris Van Hollen. I don't know whether we have another one. Georgia, because I know we have some Georgia people. We have Sanford Bishop. That is Georgia District 2. And then another interesting states, Virginia. We have Dawn Bayer, Virginia District 8. Let me see any other interesting state here. California, Mkoenge, Poleni, California Star. I know there's some Missouri people here, and a lot of these Kansas City people, they don't like being told they're from Kansas because they're actually from Missouri. But that's a story for another day. There's Emmanuel Cleaver, Missouri District 5. And here we are mentioning the representatives in Congress who support a ceasefire, for those who are just joining us. And then California we're going, I can't read. I'm trying to see any other interesting. Oh, there's another one in North Carolina, Mika. Valerie Fouché. Valerie. The spelling is Foushee. I don't want people to think this is a Nigerian. So it's Valerie Fushi. I think maybe that's how it's pronounced.
Almost.
Yeah?
Is there
I
any
think he
from
wanted to say
Arizona?
Funke.
Is there any from Arizona or New Mexico?
Let me look at the list. So far, I've not seen anyone, but interesting.
Curry Lake for sure is not there.
I see one from Florida, Maxwell Frost, Florida District 10. That's interesting. Another interesting one I see. Oh, there's another Texas. Al Green, Texas District 9. Arizona, Mika, there's Raul Grijalva. That's Grijalva. Whatever that name is. But Raul Grijalva, that's Arizona District 7. We also have another interesting state here. And look at the comments to see if anyone wants me to look at their particular state. There's Samalee in Pennsylvania. I know we do have some listeners from Pennsylvania. In Minnesota, there's Betty McCollum, Minnesota District 4. And then in Massachusetts, we have James P. McGovern, Massachusetts District 2.
That is my representative.
Okay, now
sorry.
Okay, now talk to the people who you know in that district and tell them this is the guy to give money.
Easy win.
Maryland, Kwesi Mfume, Maryland District 7. So that's another one that was expected. And then of course Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, New York District
Standard
14.
operating procedure.
Yeah, of course, Ilhan Omar, Minnesota District 5. And then, let me see another interesting. Mark Pocan, Wisconsin. I don't know whether we have Wisconsin listeners, but this is one of those states that maybe you don't expect, but Wisconsin District 2. And then Maryland, we have Jamie Raskin. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Jamie Raskin. Yes. That's Maryland District 8.
Say goes full throttle against the idiots and that committee.
Oh yeah, January 6th. Yeah, and then we have Terry Sewell, Alabama. That's interesting. You know, I never expected anyone from Alabama. And then let me see any other interesting states. Mississippi, Benny Thompson.
Yes.
Then of
J6.
Course, yeah. Then we have that's Mississippi District 2, and then we have Rashida Tlaib, Michigan District 12. Of course, that one most already know. And then there is one from New York called Paul Tonko, New York District 20. And then any other interesting, Virginia, Jennifer Wexton, District 10. And Georgia, Nikema Williams, District 5. So ndo hapo. Mika, here you have something to say.
Yeah, my question on this, it's by state, it's easy because we can. How many of those congressmen or Congress people are actually Republicans and Democrats?
So actually, unfortunately, this list that I have here has not listed their party affiliations, but because people are very experts here on doing this analysis, I'm gonna share this link in the comments, and someone can do a quick, the same chat GPT that has issues, try to find out where all these people are from and share with us that information, rather the parties, because I only shared the states because this is a bipartisan issue. It's both parties, so these people have put themselves on the line. And some people may say, they're just saying it. But when you do this, you put yourself on the line with IPAC, and they are already collecting money to take you out. So let's give them credit for that. And I'm going to post the link for those who maybe might have an interest in taking a look at it. And maybe anyone who wants to know if there's someone in their state or someone in the jurisdiction, because I think there's a lot of noise also on generally Congress not supporting this. But then there's these few voices that I think should be listened to.
See, they were saying at some point or something, they were trying to put some form of paper or something that it was mandatory to support any resolution that was pro-Israel. There's something like that was floating like in the media.
There was something, I didn't quite follow it up, but there was something that was floating at some point. I think that's something that someone in the comment maybe can tell us a bit more about it. Then I see now Pablo Oliza, he lists wale weko for against. These are the ones who are for the ceasefire. Yeah, these are the ones who are for the ceasefire. Winwithoutwar.org. And that's why it's also important to understand the limitations of this new AI tools that are available to the public now. Let's understand their limitations, and also let's understand that they're also biased. Let's not think that these things are just now open. There's also some bias baked into this.
Some
Yeah.
ulikuwa nafanya research this morning somewhere pertaining to asking questions, and especially I think it was in one of many forums.
Oh, yeah. You know, like, actually, this was on a separate issue, and I think we're going to discuss this issue when we get to the sports segment, because it was issues relating to
AFCON. Yes.
The African Cup of Nations. Very basic facts that, you know, like, ChatGPT was just, back I felt like giving them, like, a cheat sheet. Like, Malawi did not qualify. Madagascar did not qualify for AFCON.
Cameroon is not the host.
And Cameroon is the host nation. And Cameroon is the host nation. Oh my goodness. Mika.
The thing is this: most people don't realize that these AI bugs, they're not search engines. They're not like Google. They're not like what do you call it? Bing. That's not what they are. Usually, what they are is it's like a database, and it's a database where people input data. Like, it's more of not just one source but different source, and then there's a comparison, and it tries to give you the best answer to that question that you're asking. That is why you have to learn prompts to use when you're searching these AI backed engines like BAD and ChatGPT. And also you have to understand that everything from them is not correct. That's why a lot of people got in trouble the first time when they came out and they were using them for work. And that is why also in the terms of in the term of tech, I don't know if you remember something to do with InfoSec. There was this guy who decided to he was given an assignment to upgrade their source code, and he put it in ChatGPT, and while he was getting what he got, he was told that, once you input something in ChatGPT, it doesn't come out. So basically their company's source code was exposed to the internet because they put it in ChatGPT. So it's just something for people need to be careful when they're using these AI-backed search engines. They are not Google. They are not Bing. It's a database where you're throwing what you're asking, and then that database has algorithm that has been designed to search for you the best answer from those various databases that give it to you. That's why it usually gives you options of choosing of an answer. It doesn't give you one. It gives you like 3, 4, 5, 6. You choose the best version that works with you, and you will go with it.
Now, Mika, we are going to schedule an episode this year where we need to go deep in this topic. That episode, you will have to be in the studio. You'll have to drive all the way from that village you're in.
From the undisclosed location.
The undisclosed village you're in.
I thought that was exclusive to Omosh.
He's in Northridge, Maine.
Well, this is a new year. Like
2024, new things.
By the way, you guys, have you noticed this energy in the studio today?
Good energy.
To
start. But let's hear from Omosh, because hatujamsikia Omosh. And before we hear from Omosh, we're also going to be talking about taxes being loaded onto Kenyans. TB Joshua expose. My, oh my.
And just a recap of summer bunnies.
Yes, summer bunnies.
Yeah.
So let's start from there.
Ruth, can you just please look at the careers?
Sometimes this Ruth, sometimes she amazes me.
Maze?
When she comes back from Kenya, what does she tell us? She ate mangoes. She went to a dusty place, which happens to be Shags.
Yeah.
She saw Harelas.
Makweni mangoes, by the way, very sweet.
The bomb.
They're
Let me
amazing.
tell you a story. I drove to this year. I decided to drive to the coast. Hey, hizo maembe za Ukambani zinafanya uchelewe.
Okay.
Kila mahali unasimama unanunua.
Just say.
Why does he sound like he was eating them with honey? This guy,
They have honey.
No, I think this guy was eating them with honey. In fact, Mika
they have
umerudi na asali. I think he came back with honey. This guy.
I came back with honey, but I did not eat mango with honey.
No, I'm just saying they have honey because we also do, honey.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I know what they're saying. I know, but
No,
I didn't eat them.
Mika
Or maybe I'm missing the point over
Nasile
here.
honey ya Zuchu.
Oh my
Almost
word.
fine.
Okay, Amosh.
So you guys want me to start about the...
No. Start from, of course, we never had a chance to talk about what we're talking about this first hour, and then we're going to get to those taxes that are being loaded onto Kenyans.
What you want me
by
to
our
talk
pre-
about Palestine?
Hmm?
About Palestine?
Now, there was one thing.
See you. I don't want to be in Etwaje.
Band shadow.
Shadow ban.
Oh,
Please,
so
You see, you umeona
I
vile
think,
imetoka.
hapo
when
ilikuwa
you
slow.
wanna-
hapo ilikuwa
Yeah,
slow.
a little bit.
Hapo ilikuwa bit slow.
Please,
Your process
please,
out.
please come. Because even the spelling ya ile siji X-Reel.
Nimeona.
Is real.
Exclamation marks.
Very slow, very slow. You know, this thing is so bothersome because if you just look at the crux of the matter, it's like mtu amekuja Kenya, akatuhamisha, akachukua ile space pali tulikuwa, and then 10 years down the road, watoto wake wanasema mutoke na muende. That's basically what's happening.
Oof.
That in a nutshell is what in fact has happened. Forget about what is happening. In a nutshell is what has happened. You know, it's like it reminds me of those ancestral land issues we have, You know, those of Yarelas who keep moving the fences. Like when grandpa started, the fence was, you know, 4 acres out. And now you guys, your generation, the fence has gone in 4 acres. But they are still claiming that they didn't know the land was yours. But they're the ones who keep moving the fence. And that, in essence, is what has happened here.
Kina Delaware and them.
It's so sad that we even are sitting down and having this conversation. And to me, this, you know, you can put this thing in the same context of our brothers in Ukraine. WhatsApp group, the same, except in this case, in one, it's like you can see for sure in an invasion. Alafu kuna ile plain outright, it's me, in fact, I'll call it terrorism. The South Africans, I think, nailed it. They really nailed it, and when they called it apartheid, they nailed that thing. They hit the nail on the head. Nobody wants to talk about it, and it's
And they
sad.
called it also genocide.
Correct.
And they defined it legally.
It
Not from emotions. They're like, you want us to use the law? We will use it.
and they broke it down to what they went through.
Yeah. And actually there was whatever the ruling that was issued today, for those who have been tuned in, is not this is just a preliminary ruling. You know, like I still haven't gotten the details of it, but I think, you know, there's a slap on the wrist to Israel so far. So the actual ruling on the general, it will take a bit longer.
Yeah.
But I think South Africa, you know, like, was my second favorite country in Africa after Kenya. But after what they've shown,
Yeah.
South Africa, I mean, Kenya, I love you. But what South Africa has shown, you know, in a world where they could get cancelled diplomatically and so many things could happen, they have short sense of purpose. And they've always had a very consistent foreign policy where they're not going to be bullied. And South Africans forgive, they don't forget. They don't forget. So they've been very consistent on this issue, you know, like from the very beginning, you know, and Arafat and Nelson Mandela knew each other. And maybe for people who don't know, you know, like both Mandela and the great Bishop Desmond Tutu, those are the ones who referred to whatever is happening in Gaza as something similar to apartheid, or even in fact Desmond Tutu said it might even be worse. You know, so South Africa has a very, you know, a lot of depth in this, and this will just geopolitically, I mean, of course this is something that is very risky for them, but geopolitically it will put them in a very strong position. In the most recent rally that I attended in DC, there were so many.
You mean the rally you didn't call us from? Just
and I'm apologizing. 2 rallies have come up, and I did not notify people on time.
there was one where we were all in the country. I think most of us were here.
Nyuma tent was said.
Kwa nini nyuma ya tent?
But I apologize for that, because I made assumptions. Because, you know, a lot of people are so fearful. And maybe I made assumptions that, yes, maybe, you know, like there are colleagues of mine who support this cause, but then because there's a lot of fear, because we're seeing people getting fired from their jobs, because IPAC is very powerful. IPAC is, we're seeing people getting fired from jobs.
Give people the option to decide for themselves.
I agree with you.
Okay.
That's what I should have done. I have some very close friends of mine who, you know, like were seeing some of the posts that I was making, and they were very polite posts. I never make any inflammatory posts, and they were like, "Be careful, unaweza futwa job." And I was like, if this is the reason, you know, like why my company would fire me, that's okay.
It's worth it.
That's not the last job that personally I don't expect that to happen, but to me I think that's not even something that I was thinking about. So again, that was a faux pas on my part, and to make up for that, I'm gonna research every state that people who are tuned in. Please tag me and tell me the state, and I will tell you what activities, because this networking is so serious. We get daily updates, what's happening in Michigan, what's happening in Texas. Kwanza Texas, my Texas people, that is the epicenter. DC has the biggest protests because the DC protests have a lot of people who come from out of state here. But Texas, just the local mobilization is at another, it's at a whole different level. And Texas is also kind of like the epicenter of where, you know, like intellectual Islam from people who were born in America, the likes of Yasir Qadhi, Omar Suleiman. These are born Americans who understand the American system, and are, you know, like high Islamic scholars who give, you know, like valid positions on what people need to do and what they don't need to do. A couple of comments coming in before we go back to Omoshfa.
Yes, I would love to make sure that you guys are part and parcel of the show. So, okay, I don't know how far I can go because this has been a long story, but I'm just going to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll start with Pablo. Hii list ni ya wale wako for or against, and I think it was more for people who are for ceasefire. Then actually Slay did respond, said ceasefire. Then you did share that. Pablo says, can one use Washeke's coded phrases to question ChatGPT?
We challenge you, Washeke.
Okay. Kitu sielewi Slay ni kwa nini watu wanalazimishwa wasimame na Easy. Easy being
now Easy is yule wa UFC. For those who know, they know. AI
is definitely biased. That's Washeke. Then Pablo, Easy sounds like himself packaging. Very funny. And then Washeke responds to Slay about kulazimishwa pesa. We know the truth now. You can't box society into supporting injustice. I'm going to say something about that afterwards. Maembe or maembe?
What does that mean?
I know, but lakini kuna, there are,
hizo zinaitwa brackets ama zinaitwaje?
These are no brackets.
It's not bodmas.
Parenthesis.
Hiyo ni bodmas.
Parenthesis.
Whatever that is.
People who know English, tell us what those are.
No,
greater
code,
than or less than.
Code.
Greater than or less than.
No, that's not it. Slay, or probably could be. Slay, where does Kenya stand? What do people back home think? People who just came back, please let us know. Kenya ni pro easy. Mwanike na pegs kabisa.
Kwani Omosha nifanya nini
sasa?
Hapo maybe Slay confirm what we are talking about.
Slay just missed me. It's okay, Slay. See me behind the tent.
Slay says, Washeke, responding to Slay's question, brainwash Kenyans who worship in cults, support Easy. They have been praying and fasting for them. This is so wild. Tumekutag twice, please share. Ali, tell me for SATX.
Yeah, so Texas, I know, you know, like you guys are deep here. So Texas is always a default setting, you know, like whenever we have anything, because our Texas people, they support us so much. I think I'm going to challenge, you know, the crew, a show in Texas. We are planning to have one in Boston this year. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to talk about that later. Yeah, we're planning to have one in Boston. Remember, Boston Marathon, April 13th. I don't know whether to give you leakage.
I am putting that PTO right now.
I don't know whether to give you leakage of what's going to be happening, but I want you to stay tuned.
Be there.
Yeah, it's not just the marathon.
Okay.
There's some events.
There's always events. It's
remember those old events?
I know, yeah.
What's nice is that these recent years, remember the old events? Yes, that one that we went for, Imerudi. But I am going to give you details later on.
Alafu bado kuna ile ya hao.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Oh, my word.
Ile Sunday vigil.
So stay tuned. We don't want to give all the details now, but stay tuned. We're going to talk about in upcoming
I am
episodes.
so excited. I'm gonna be in Massachusetts for that time.
Yeah, so
100%.
Massachusetts and I think Texas.
Okay.
Like Texas is another place where I think we really, like, problem Texas ni kubwa. Kuna watu wako San Antonio.
Yeah.
And even the people in Dallas. Unasikia ati someone is 55 minutes away. Ama unasikia someone is 1 hour 20. Ati someone sijui is in Fort Worth. Na mwingine sijui yuko kona gani. But they all tell you they are from Dallas.
McKinley.
So you're like, this doesn't say
McKinney.
Dallas. What is this? And
Dallas area.
when I put it on the GPS,
Dallas,
it's
Fort
1 hour
Worth.
5 minutes.
Dallas Fort Worth area. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Can I-
DFW.
Kama vile
DFW.
It's a
It's
DFW.
like DMV,
Ah,
like
okay.
DMV.
Okay.
Can I say something? There's something I said I'll comment on it later. Someone said it's so hard right now for people to fall for the propaganda the government and the media gives, because especially Gen Z can just pick up the phone
Absolutely.
and watch what's happening
Yeah.
directly in Gaza, right? So it's this middleman people we used to use before, it's no longer there. So
Yeah.
people have access to information that's not being filtered how they want us to see it.
Yes.
And I think that is what is making this thing very in people's faces to say, and people being aware of what's happening, again, without the filter that we've received before.
Okay, good. Now, Washeke, we hear you. Texas is more than Dallas or Houston. San Antonio, you are also on our map. But tuchoreni map because hey,
Austin.
yeah. Oh, kuna watu wa Austin pia hapa. Okay.
I'm just
But
saying.
that's
All right.
that's Texas. man.
Okay, okay.
Texas is big.
Okay,
Tabitha.
give us the Tabitha yuko Houston.
Oh, she's in Houston?
Yeah, she's in Houston. So Houston, Dallas gets much love. I know there's a lot of Kenyans now in Austin. Of course, kuna San Antonio hapa. And then there's some cities nilienda. And surprisingly, nikafindwa Kenya, a town called Lubbock.
Lubbock, yes.
Yeah, Lubbock.
Yeah, Lubbock.
in our Kenya.
Yeah,
In
Lubbock
our Kenya
iko na
kibao.
Wakenya
I
wengi
never even
sana.
knew there was a town called Lubbock
Yeah, iko na
that
Wakenya.
existed.
Town or city?
It's a small town.
Yeah,
Town.
and yeah, there's even a Kenyan restaurant
is this
there.
is this some of these sundown Nini towns? Because like every time I hear a town,
I mean,
in
there's
the
a
south-
university there. I think the university is the major thing
Lubbock.
in the town.
Okay.
So that's an interesting place. So I think maybe Texas, like we need to, do like
Tunaweza fanya tour. Kwani iko
tunaweza
nini?
kufanya tour.
Iko nini?
Like
Yeah.
a 1 week vacation. Inakaa se mifuko zao zimenona. I don't know whether people have been talking to Tabitha Njeri, career expert, na ame boost masalari zao. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. Almost fire.
We work from home, we'll carry our computer and keep it moving. Kwani iko nini?
Aya, almost fire.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, this whole thing with Palestine is so emotional that sometimes you're like, what if that was us? And it was very close. We were very close to being
Oh, yeah.
those people,
This close.
right? So it's very, very, very emotional, and we don't have to go far. Just look at some of our neighbors, like UG. Like what they've gone through over the years until I guess M7 came in. But prior to that, I mean, those Jamas were refugees, pretty much. Rwanda, leading up to like the genocide, and then they had to set the place up after. It's very, very sad that we have to actually be witnesses to this. But the thing about this new generation, our Gen Z, our Watoi, wanaona vitu. They're not being shaken. They're not being moved. I guess the math is not mathing for them.
No, it's
In
not.
as much as, there's this thing that the propaganda, blah, 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 SG, I don't know what, if you say it enough times, it becomes Z.
No.
They're
That's
like,
not
no,
working for them.
we have sources. We can go to Nini, we can find out what's going on, and we see this stuff that's going on. So all these alternate facts, it's
Not
not,
working.
facting.
Not
No,
working.
it is not facting. And these guys
And the
are
media
already
is slow to catch up on that.
by the time they catch up, these chaps will have gone ahead. And remember, we had the young kids who are here.
Jide and Rehema.
Yes. And we asked them, what's going on? And they were like, hey, hii kitu, ata campus, huwa inaleta war.
Inaleta ngori.
Because we all know that this is wrong. So wale watu wanakuja na kifua and they say, oh, this, that, and the other, you can't fool these kids. They are not being fooled anymore. And that's also the same thing when it comes to politics of the day. This is an election year. those kids are not being fooled. They're going to go out, they're going to register to vote if they haven't, and they're going to vote, and they will surprise chaps. But
What
anyway,
are they voting for?
I'm very sure, very, very sure they're not going to be voting for Ulemzewa Nini.
So,
Hey, Omoja Janagambe, you go voting.
Go ahead.
You go, hey.
Kwa hawa
Hiyo
watoto,
voting
mi naongea story ya hawa watoto. I'm not
Mhm.
talking about us. Naongea about hawa watoto.
Unajua hata sisi tulikuwa hawa watoto at some point. We were progressing, we were seeing stuff, but then we still voted on terms of racism, we voted on terms of tribalism, and we voted based on, like, when it comes to politics, yes, we can say that it will have an impact on other people because they're seeing the atrocities that they're done. But then there's just some people who, how you've been brainwashed, normal dinner conversations, and all these also will influence a lot of things. Because if we go back in campus, as those kids say that they were fighting, they were not fighting grown-ups, they were fighting their fellow kids also.
Correct.
So just the same way that we see there are those who see atrocities, there are those who have still been brainwashed like other people, and they see how it is. That is why the media is still doing what it's trying to do, because it still has an influence, and media always has had an influence in influencing people. And as long as it knows it has a majority of that strong influence, it will continue doing it. And how many people have you seen who can see what is wrong in Israel and they would say it's still being woke, trying to say that asking for Palestinians' rights, asking for protection of Palestinians, as if it's bad? How many people actually do believe that Palestinians are the ones who are responsible for a genocide in Israel instead of the other way around? And they are. So when it comes to politics and to voting, common sense leaves the room a lot of time.
okay, asante sana Mika. Now
I
this is a topic.
I think Mika is biased because he lives in the south.
This is a topic that we are gonna keep discussing throughout the year until there's a ceasefire. But for now, Omosh fire. We now want to move back to something lighter. Some Abanis, like
Who are these?
mlituacha huku, just talk to us, like where hands are maybe.
Where do you want us to start? As we were packing, or when we got to the airport?
No.
Or how
I
our
would say-
luggage was handled or manhandled?
say if you
or the
could pick-
tips and tricks that one Mike uses so that his hand luggage can pass.
Okay, if you could pick 2 or 3 things, each one of you, tutaanza na Omosh fire, and then we're gonna go to Uno Mike, and then we're gonna go to Mika. 2 or 3 things that surprised you, or 2 or 3 things that maybe people who stayed here are not aware of or missed out on. DJ Omosh fire.
I think I would say the resilience of Kenyan people in relation to the tough times that have now come about because of taxes, fuel going up.
Let's just say because of a bad economy, of a poor economy.
Okay. Aya, wacha Mosha
Yes.
malize, then you're gonna come in.
Yes, I think Mika summarized it. So, you go home, we always have, the picture that we have when we are here is that one of, you get your people at home who are like, hey, vitu ni mbaya, tuma, nisaidie, nini, school fees, blah, blah, whatever it is, right? Leading up to us going home. So then you go home, you land. And you're looking around, and people on the streets, they are hanging, they are clubbing, they are driving around, they are eating, they are sleeping. So you're like, haya, okay, where is this? Hii economy mbaya iko wapi juu? Juu sioni hii economy, ile economy tulikuwa tunajua tukiwa kule majuu.
Yeah.
Hatuioni tukiwa kwa ground. Because on the ground, everything is moving, it's functioning, people are doing what they need to do.
But
now,
almost maybe could this be a factor of some Abanis,
No.
like the places that you guys go and the people you interact with?
no.
Are not those
Or people,
those people who are experiencing
or
this.
people living above their means, and you don't see that. You only see.
Well, Kenya is a cash economy. So when
Yes.
you say you're living above your means, are these people going and borrowing money?
Yeah.
Or
Is
first of all, that borrowing of money is not something that is ingrained in Kenya. In fact, the banking system of Kenya is one of the worst when it comes to.
Oh no, chamas, fellow people,
again.
Sunini,
So you see, those are very. So you see,
Fuliza.
that's very informal.
Yeah.
where you can't, like that one of Chamas, you can't necessarily track it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then
yes.
like things like Fuliza you can track. Now Fuliza is something that a lot of people utilize. What they don't realize is the fees and repercussions and things like that come with it, because they're so used to utilizing it. It's like a revolving credit for them.
Worse than payday lending that was in the US.
And it's very, very, very bad. You know, because you can have Fuliza of 10K. So now, and 10K, for us, maybe when we look at it and we're doing exchange rate, we're not looking at the context of the money. But think of it this way. Awochi gets about 15K a month. And that's actually Awochi who's getting paid a lot of money.
That's less than $100.
So
$160
if you
something.
can get Fuliza of between of like 7K, you're somebody who uko juu. Most people Fuliza pengine wanatoanga 1,500 if maybe a lot 2K.
The interest on Fuliza annualized comes to about 120%. Just for those who are not familiar.
Did you say payday lending is done in the US?
No, payday lending was kind of banned, you know, like under the Obama administration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of banned. But this Fuliza, what we have,
Yeah, I know.
is worse.
Very legal.
Because I think payday lending, we're talking interest rates of 40-something%.
That's crazy.
But now this one's annualized because you're 10K, and someone can, you know, like correct me, you know, like when I check the rates, so 10K you have to pay within 30 days. And within that 30 days, there's already a fee that's topped,
Added
that's taken at the top.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to cost you about 1,000 shillings to borrow that 10K, which is due within 30 days. So if you if you don't pay it within that 30 days,
There's penalties.
so
We also get interest every day.
so and you plus the interest, so it's kind of like 1K will be compounding. So by the end of the year, you took 10K. If you don't pay it for the whole year, and it happens for some people sometimes, you owe the 10K plus around 12K. So that's where the 120, and these are estimates, but someone can go check online to look at those rates and what they say. So it's about 120%, which is not a joke. I think a lot of people are not seeing it that way. But yeah, we're gonna create, you know, like a credit crisis in Kenya like we had in the US. But Omosh, back to you.
So for me, that was one big surprise. You know, the economy was moving. People are doing what they're supposed to do. And on the surface, it looked even everywhere you went, you did. And I spent about close to 2 weeks in Shags, and I was seeing how those jamas, you know, even over there, because normally in Shags you actually get a truer picture of, you know, how people are spending money, how money is coming in, and those guys are spending. It's not like they're not spending; they're spending. Now, I don't. Again, it could also be that it's the December blues / Christmas and all of that, and everybody's kind of like, you know, happy, merry-go-lucky type of thing.
Wamelipwa chama, you know, like
It could be, you know,
Yeah,
it could be, but money was being spent, and they were not holding back. So I'm curious to know how it was, say, for one Mike, with him staying a little bit later than us, what he was seeing on the ground, say, where he was, plus in Nai, if he spent like maybe more than 3 days in Nai, in the latter part, I would say, you know, like after the 15th of January in Nairobi, because you see, what you end up seeing now, you actually get to see, you know, kids have gone back to school. You know, people are supposed to be paying this and that. They're the ones who are coming in from standard 8 going into Form 1. Then, of course, there's now the ones who are supposed to be, you know, the ones who just graduated high school, now potentially going to college, right? So, and then there's all these monies that parents are now paying for the new CBC and all of this. So, along the way, everything has increased. And that's not counting on the taxes, the food, you know, price of food. Everything is up. Everything is up. So let's say, for instance, a vehicle that I was fueling, same vehicle I was fueling for 9K in 2022, I'm now fueling the same car with something like 14K. Same vehicle, you know. So, and that's quite a bit, because it's not like your salary is going up by that much. So some people probably, and that's something, another thing that I saw, like Monday through Friday, they were not driving. But then on weekends, wako barabarani. So, you know, people reduced their driving during the week. And then, you know, so those are some of the small adjustments that you see that some folks had done in terms of the economy. But all in all, they were spending money. So that's something that I saw that I was very surprised with, because I thought like ingekuwa mbaya, and you know, guys would not be needing, and other than of course the pricing of food, that everything went up. New establishments or places, restaurants, eateries, entertainment spots. When I say entertainment, I mean like things for like kids to do. Something I noticed is that every restaurant or place that you go to now even has a section for toys. It's a whole other industry.
Yeah.
You go, you sit down, you're going to eat. Guess what? Your kids have a babysitter. You don't even have to worry about them. They have gone. They work uko. Siji jumping castle. I don't know what. There are some toy cars that are being sold
That's
for
thinking
siji.
ahead.
So ine siji sotano. Kuna kampira wananunua ya sosita. And every time you come to eat at this place,
Value added.
this toy is being bought for this. Yani mpaka that it's at the point where the toys even know the name of the guy who's selling the stuff. And the guy who's, you know, part of the entertainment. It's a whole, that's like a
Value
whole,
added.
it's a whole other industry. And this is happening everywhere. So it's not like it's happening at let's say, hypothetically, I just throw a name out, Mamoliech, which is not. But it's not happening at, you know, just like at a traditional, it's like every restaurant has an area that caters to kids, because that's a whole other industry. So parents don't mind going with their kids to a restaurant because they don't have to worry about the kids. The kids have a play area, they have nini, and it's an economy in of itself. You'll end up spending more money on those games and things that the kids are doing there than on the food that they're eating, which is the chipo and the sausage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because if the ball is being sold for siji soine, then there's a remote control toy car that somebody's telling you siji 12 handle, and the toys over there are screaming their head off. And you know, and when you look at those toys and the way they handle their parents, you want to remove a mwiko and you want to rarua toy hapo.
Yeah.
But this is not your
A few whips.
yeah, this is not your stage, or you're like, hey, me, I'm here for like 6.8 days. You handle me. I already know how I would handle this situation, but that's on you. That's another thing that I saw that is very, very common, and it's continuously happening. Then development. Everywhere there's a new building. Any space that is not green has either a building coming up or a building that is just about finished, or they are starting to build. Yani, it's like any space that they, in fact,
Now, is this Nairobi or Rusinga Island?
no,
or Mfangano?
no. This one I'll say is for Nairobi. Now, when now you
Zema
move,
Nairobi, Zema Kilimani.
I'll say for Nairobi, okay, and it's not only Kilimani, because I even went out towards I was out huko Kangundo Road, huko ndani, huko past Ruai.
Tengela.
Past Ruai,
that's on that side.
ushapata no,
Oh,
ushapita
side,
Ruai,
yeah, okay.
we are going out towards Machakos. So nimepita Ruai na nimeenda huko.
Okay.
So
And where is Katani? Is Katani somewhere along the way?
I don't know.
Hapo sasa nakuja.
sasa Katani sijui iko wapi.
Okay.
But me, I can just tell you, I went out that way, and
Because
that's
there's Syokimau, I think Katani is
That's
either.
okay.
other
Yes,
side.
that's
That's Mombasa Road.
Yes,
Okay.
side, your
You're
side.
talking
No,
about-
that's the other side. If you drive on that Mombasa Road towards
Mi najua tu Mombasa
Machakos.
Road, yeah.
If you
Sija
drive
divert.
towards, if you're Mombasa Road driving,
Is that
towards-
Eastern Bypass?
there's really a point whereby,
Yeah, I think so.
you know, there was a point whereby when you got to Kitengela, after that corner of what's the name of that university?
You saying?
Daystar?
Daystar?
Daystar, yeah. There was a point whereby when you pass that Daystar University Junction, there was nothing until you get to the Machakos Junction. But right now, it's just the same thing. Like, you can easily, if you're new, you will not know you've left Nairobi. You'll
Yeah.
just find yourself, boom,
Oh,
boom,
nice.
you bump into Machakos.
I love
there's
that.
so much.
Yeah.
I love the
There's
sound
so
of
much.
that.
There's so much
Development.
development. on
There's a
that
lot.
area.
Hapo
Now-
Mavoko ni
now
development
the-
mob.
the-
Yeah. Okay.
The
Unajua
sad
mi-
thing about the development is the lack of planning that is happening with it.
Okay,
Especially
yeah.
now, if we go back to the areas like Kilimani, Kilalashwa, and actually Kilimani is turning into a pipeline. Pole pole.
Yes,
It's
it is.
turning
It actually is. Yes,
it's
it
turning
really is.
into an Isili pole pole.
It is.
It's gotten to a
yeah.
point whereby even those roads, Kinaden Street, those big roads where you would even just all the way from Arboretum, if you came from Arboretum driving all the way up to all the way inside into Lavington. It's just skyscrapers and skyscrapers. And then you ask yourself, these
Okay.
cases were made for small houses,
Yeah.
for mansions, for bungalows.
Tops 4 levels. Yeah.
Now they have, you find somebody with a development. And then the thing is not just somebody's not building just one apartment building. And now it's like, it's development
Blocks.
companies are
Yeah.
coming,
Yeah. They're
and then
Okay.
they're building a development that has close to 400 units.
yeah.
Basically, they look like you know how the projects look
the
like
projects,
when they
yeah,
were
the
new?
projects in New York.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it
Yeah.
is. Skyscrapers,
That's-
100
yes,
units
that-
per block. A, B,
Yeah,
C,
so-
D.
Yeah,
That's
but
how
Suleiman
that's how they
Shahbal,
look like.
Suleiman Shahbal gave a name to them, like I can't remember, but skyscraper ghettos or something. There's a name he gave them, and he said they're very popular in some Asian countries. But almost to Malaysia, and then we're gonna go to Mika, and then we're gonna come to Uno Mike.
Yeah. So okay. So there was that part. But then the other thing that I noticed, which surprised me, and maybe Mika can correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like the housing market, I don't know if I'd say it has leveled off, or they've realized that they need to have a lower pricing, maybe to entice you to
sell.
bring you in,
Yeah.
because they are now pushing a lot of studios. That's something they were not pushing
Yeah,
at all. In
I
fact,
ne-
they were
I
not
never-
even
yeah.
they were not even building studios. And then you can get two types of studios. Kuna regular studio, alafu kuna ako ka studio, it's upgraded. Sijui wameongeza ka 5 square feet.
So basically, studio is a bed sitter in a posh area.
Correct. It is ni bed sitter, yes. Because unaingia, unaanza na jikoni, ukienda kwa sijui ka dining room, alafu unaingia hapo in between kutakuwa na kabafu, and then you ingia the bedroom, and if you're lucky, you might have a balcony past the bedroom.
Wow.
And your bedroom ndio waga it kind of in a way becomes your sitting room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ruth, before we go to Mika and Uno Mike, a lot of comments have been coming
Yes,
through while
yes,
Omosh was
yes.
telling us about his experiences. Very interesting.
Okay.
What are people saying?
So, okay, I'm just going to start reading. And some of these topics, what I really wanted to make sure is like we read your comments. I might go a bit back if it's not a lot of comments. So, bear with me. So, Texas, the only person now that will make me vote is Colin Ored or Ared. Slay, I wish we can remove Abbott and Paxton. Then Mambo at 254, please. That is Pablo. Slay, Washeke. Abbott is another one who has many lives. Wasn't there a hearing for him? Then Pablo, kilele mingi ya ekonomi ya Kenya wakwa Twitter period. Pablo, Slay, responding to Pablo, meaning people just talk about it on social, talking about it on social media. Steven, I talked about this thing. Omosh is talking on the Sambaza podcast with Dana Aseda regarding the perception of some Albanese to issues back home, state of the Afri-Pod nation. I experienced the same thing in October 2023. Slay, what are the requirements for getting a Fuliza approved? Then Pablo, I personally surveyed a few people who visited Kenya this past December. Most said they found Kenyans hustling and working hard, filling clubs as usual Monday through Sunday. Of course, kuna complaints, but in tandem with working. Then Drew Kimani says, Happy New Year, One Mike Show. Ndambuki registered M-Pesa with an active Safaricom line. Then response, Slay, okay, how do they know how much to give someone? Because kwa show, if you get approved for 7,000, you're someone up there. I got approved for 4,000. I wanted to see how that thing works.
Wow. 4K.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm not a regular M-Pesa user.
But did you borrow?
Yes, I did. That
You
was
used
the
it.
point. I wanted to see what will happen.
And then you paid that fee.
Immediately, but I paid the fee.
How much was it?
I don't remember, but
Okay.
I did. Like there was a fee, like nilitumia.
An instant fee.
Instant fee.
Instant haircut.
Instant fee.
Yeah, and then is when they charge you the interest.
Yes.
And that's the part that so now you see, remember that whole point of Fuliza is at the point uko chini, yani hapa ndio pale umefika, you are at your bottomless, bottom low.
Yeah.
There's no other, and that instead of calling Uno Mike, you
Fuliza
call
inafaa
M-Pesa.
kukuzuia uache kuambia watu nisaidie tu.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Ama nitumie fare.
I
Yeah,
even-
send me 2K agent messages.
I even
I need
registered-
10K urgently. Yeah?
I even registered for the Hustlers Fund.
Oh, wow.
I got $800 shillings for that. I didn't, of course, borrow it. I just wanted to see how much I'll qualify for.
Okay.
Just trying. Anyway, so Slay, Aki's like Animal Farm in 3D form. Tunonga Janini. Oh, the Fuliza thing. Omosh, it's this Udima thenge. Omosh is more entertainment places opened. Pablo, please speak about the diaspora conference if any of you had a chance to attend.
Did these people these people thinking about?
I was this close to attending, and the reason why I did not attend was I did not register on time. So you had to register by a certain point, right?
Okay.
And so I was actually, for lack of a better word, I was pistol whipped into shape by a guy who I will not name. But I will let you know.
I think I know who it is, but yeah.
And I was told all you had to do was holler at me and I would get you in. And I was like, I didn't know that that's what I'm supposed to do. Because me, I'm following the rules that you guys had given us, that you have to register by this day.
Big Ted.
So that's what I went with. And they were not happy that I was actually there, had the opportunity to go in for it. I know somebody who went. And I think it was a 3-day conference, started Wednesday through Friday, and I think they went Wednesday and they went Friday. And they had good things to say about the conference, I think, overall. Yeah. But because the areas that they were interested in, I think, were being covered as topics over there. So yeah, Woody, who asked? Was it Woody or Pablo? Pablo, or Woody was home, actually. But it's... I'm glad that they did it. And people got to see what Gava thinks of us as diaspora and where they work us in true sense of the word. We are basically, what would I say?
Cash cow.
We are cash cows. We are a bank that has native roots, and we are not expected to say nyohohiho when we give money.
Yeah.
Period.
What does that mean?
Okay.
We don't have a say with how this money is being spent, and we need to give it unconditionally. And by the way, it's a right of theirs to procure, not a privilege.
Okay. All right. So I think we're going to find someone who actually attended the conference and try to get details on it. I will talk to LA Consul General Ambassador Big Ted to find us someone who can tell us, what happened so that people can get the
Top Don attended. I can tell you
Top Don attended?
Top Don attended.
Sawa. Top Don, we are coming for you.
Let me
Hata mimi
finish this.
najua mtu anaenda kuwaste time huko.
Mika, kuwa mpole.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
know,
first
it's
episode,
not.
bana.
Hakuna kwa mpole, wacha nikwambia kitu moja Ali. I saw that thing and I was like, what am I going to get? If I need to get disappointed, I let it just log into the internet. And it will take less than 30 seconds for me to
Remember, we're on vacation. I know. I don't think to me that's the best way for me to treat
I'm not
vacation.
I'm not wasting my 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days is too long.
At least one day, I'll say.
I don't think I'm giving
Let me
it.
finish the
Hata one
comments.
day, hata tu we nikatafute small chama nikangangane kusikia man.
But we'll talk to Top Don to Jue what's up, what the deal is. Okay.
Let me continue. That was discussion today on Spice FM. I missed on that one. Washeke, Walter, Copper Call, lack of enforcement on the zoning laws or lack of zoning laws.
Oh, I think this is in reference to what Mika was saying.
With the
lack of
building.
planning.
The planning, poor
That's
planning.
an issue that will need to be solved.
Oh my goodness, they need to get on that.
It's
They
all
need to get
about
on
the
that.
money. It's all about the money.
Stephen JJ says Luka Doncic dropped 73 points on Atlanta.
Luka Doncic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Washeke, Walter call its lack of enforcement. The people in authority are bribed. Wrong chat. Slay response to Luka. Wrong chat.
Yeah,
Pablo says, Omosho speaking like a politician. Finally, before I finish, last point now. Secondly,
wait, Pablo
Udi,
come hard day one.
I know, man.
This
Udi, I just got mentioned by this cute chick.
Tag that cute chick.
Pablo, no, Ali Badawi, can we get someone outside Gava to speak about the takeaways from the diaspora conference?
Yeah,
Doreen-
we have somebody.
Doreen
outside.
Sally.
We have somebody. Yeah.
Doreen Sally attended.
Okay.
Slesse.
Okay, Doreen Selly is local.
Yeah.
I will try to get in touch with her.
Okay.
I mean, I see Slay has already tagged her.
Yeah.
Anyone else, tag her second or third time. Anybody who's friends with Doreen Selly, tag her a second or a third time, then maybe she'll get out. Because Dorintel is also doing some very big things, you know, like with her businesses here.
Yeah.
So she's local, and I think, you know, she's also a good person to get onto the One Mic show. Pablo, we also have Top Don from Chicago, who also attended the conference. So
And he did 2 days, by
yeah.
the way.
He did 2 days.
2 days.
Okay.
Even Nani, our local guy, Chris,
Mm.
was there. Chris, Mr. Officer.
Mm. Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Karau.
Yeah. That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
I didn't know he attended the conference.
Okay.
Yeah, I met him. Yeah,
All
I
right,
didn't know he
that's
attended
good.
the
Wow.
conference.
And Udimadenge is saying, yes, she is the cute one speaking. I don't know who it is. I mean, I know clearly it's not me. I know it's clearly not me.
Pablo,
Yeah.
Pablo, company
Compare
Roho safi.
kila mtu ajitetee roho safi.
utajitetea uge upande gani?
Haya. Okay. On
Hakuna,
that,
mimi natetea Pablo. Pablo amepigana hii vita miaka mingi.
okay.
Na bado haja nini. That means there is nowhere he's going. He should get off the nini now. Oh, sorry.
What?
Hey. Haya, let's go to Mika. Let's get Mika's
2024.
experience. Yani imeanza na moto. God damn.
I know the
Kawaida.
energy in this place. Somebody
Yeah.
called you. What is Jeff?
Eh?
Jeff Koinange.
Jeff Koinange did what?
Somebody called you that.
Oh, someone called me Jeff?
Yeah.
I missed that in the
Energy,
comments.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about Jeff. But
It was the energy. It was the energy you came with.
oh my, what my?
I think we need a fire extinguisher.
Actually-
Fire extinguisher. Where is that?
Or can we hear?
Jeff is a great journalist, but he's too
Imebaki
dramatic.
tu-
He's too
Imebaki
dramatic.
Elias ame smoking.
Smoking.
Aya, Mika, talk to us about your experience in the 254, because now we got the politically correct version from
Wow.
DJ Omoshai.
Wow. I was being political.
Now we are looking for the real man on the ground
Lakini
version.
za Mika zitakuja na nini.
Mika
No,
akona man on the
no,
ground
no.
version, unfiltered. Mika, talk to us.
Go for
No,
it.
this is the
Mika.
thing. Okay, I'll start from landing at the airport, KRA, right?
Oh
it was a
my
very
word!
smooth-
Yes.
It is a very smooth transition. Like nothing to bother. They were following protocol as they did. They marked suitcases that needed to mark, and kama kaida, your carry-on was being scanned and kunapita. Mimi, I didn't want to go through that, so I made a few phone calls, nikapitishwa. But what I saw from people who were in front of me and how they were handling things, it was a very smooth process. Like, hizo lines, if your suitcase is marked X, and actually delayed in the airport deliberately to see. And people who I saw that were being pulled on the side, and stuff was being pulled out. Stuff that needs to be taxable. Like, come on, you have boxes and boxes of phones, you have boxes of laptops and boxes. You're gonna be taxed for that. Like, there's a limit on how much you're gonna bring something in the country. So made total sense for me. Hapo sikuona, I didn't see anything that was out of topic on that.
So Mika, with your 2 laptops, you were not disturbed?
With my 3 laptops, I was not disturbed.
God damn, 3
Okay.
laptops ulikuwa unafanya nini nazo?
See, because he has 2 for work and 1 personal.
Ali bado nafanyaga kazi.
Okay.
Yeah, mbili za kazi, moja ya Pornhub. Anyway.
And you see, and that's the thing, that when you tell them that you have 2 for work, they're not believing.
Yeah, and what Mika just said does not represent the position of the One Mic show. That is Mika's position. Okay, Mika, back to you.
Anyway, got into the country. Actually, I landed on Kapurite. Got into the country, settled down, nikatoka kama kawaida, call a few phone calls. Leo ni school. Like it's Jamhuri Day. Kuna dunda, tunaenda happy. Everybody was telling me ni Tuesday boss. Tuesday kunanga form. I was like, since when Tuesday kunanga form? In December.
Correct.
Right? In December, what do you mean Tuesday hakuna form? December itambui weekday. December ni December. I was like, mzai, lala.
Okay.
Hiyo moto umekuja nayo, lala. There was no way I was sleeping. So I went out in Milan. I felt strange. Sat down, had a few Kogiapo Kidogo na styles. And he told me basically they have days that pick up, but they have days that are slow. So I said, it's still early in December. Let's see what some Abanis wengine will land, and we see how it is. Unfortunately, it was true. So the days that partying started seriously on Wednesday. Bar next door was the only bar that was full on Wednesday. Kettle House was full because Kettle House had something that is called a luta. Luta continua.
Let me just say, I was eating ugali at 9 a.m.
Ugali at 9 a.m. They're already making ugali.
Yeah. Boss, do you know what a luta is?
A luta continua. It's a Spanish
the
word.
party starts at 6 a.m. Everybody leaves every other hall they were in the city.
Let me just tell you. You know that thing called ATCG walk of shame? Wapi. Sasa hapo ndio sasa that walk is not shaming. People are not shameful.
So it's all shameful people meeting at the same place.
Let me tell you, ugali is being ordered at 8 a.m.
So a shemi cannot shame a shema.
How are you and you now ni houseful?
Okay.
Na saa hizo umeanza na wapi? Tulianza na 1824. Tulianza 1824, ukaenda Milan, ukaenda Gemini, ukatoka Gemini, sasa ndio Kettle House, ndio sasa unauliza bring dhufu and kadhalika.
What you guys?
I'm telling you, but even I had to check my pulse and say, okay, wait, there might be something that is wrong here. But your Kettle House,
and there are people. It's not at like a few.
No, you're not. You're like about 100 people. Yeah, 80 to 100 people at 9 in the morning.
Aluta, that's a new terminology.
And then so this one in Aluta, yeah, mababi.
Yeah, upmarket. You near upmarket.
So it is a very big thing in Kenya. Like it's a very, very, very big thing in Kenya. So anyway, as I was saying, Wednesdays it was a bar next door. That was the bar that was full. And then if you go to all these other places, Milan will get the overspill, and every other top club, Ibiza, Black Samurai, Cavalli, they will be struggling. But then on Thursday it's going to be Ibiza, Milan, Cavalli, and they're going to be. But then you see, like, it was not like in other places whereby you will go to like 3, 4, 5 clubs before you find a club where you can actually go and get seating. Right? A few well-known clubs, Quiver, Bar Next Door, those are the ones that were trying. And Quiver because of the DJs they were bringing, and Bar Next Door because of just that ladies' night on Wednesday. And then now on Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at least is when Friday, Saturday is when you'll find the other clubs are at capacity.
Nazinashika.
And then Sunday, everything was dead again.
Except
club moja. So basically, the partying in Nairobi reduced drastically.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Okay,
and even
interesting.
speaking with the people who own these places, speaking with the people in the entertainment sector, DJs, some of the DJs who I met in diaspora DJs, and they will be like, hey man, kumekuwa kunoma manzi hata December sijapata gig, like the whole of December sijapata gig. And this is somebody big. Anakuambia manzi December sija get gig, sijapata nini, hata mimi nafikiria kutoka niende country nyingine, right? You get musicians wanakuambia mimi nilifanya gig ya mwisho sijui tarehe Soulfest ndio ilikuwa gig ya mwisho, hakuna gigs.
Yeah, so
nobody's calling us.
Soulfest occurred, what was it? November, end of November, I think it was.
In November,
it didn't figure December.
Hakuna gigs, hakuna nini. So people really are not spending the way that they were spending.
So the sherehe is there, but not like it used to be.
It's not like
because before Ikwana breaks, it didn't happen.
And actually, some Abanis played a part in lifting it a lot.
That is true.
Now, because some Abanis are coming out and are going out, they actually did. So that is why you saw. Sunny was in Kenya for a week and played daily.
Yeah.
Because that's because he has a Samabani market.
He has that market. He has that market.
Wow.
You have to think outside the box to make money now.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you had to think. This Samabani crowd was a very important crowd. Hata wakikuja watu 20, the amount of money they're dropping in is good money. You saw when Conscience was in Kenya passing through, he had to go to several clubs in the same night. And hiyo Conscience alitoa watu kwa nyumba kupeleka watu out.
What do you mean by several? You mean Mika pause hapo. How do you go to several clubs in the same night?
He was making appearances in several clubs.
They can say that you're hosting.
So not performing.
Yeah, you're hosting.
Okay.
No,
yeah. You're hosting or you're a guest unakuja tu, you're passing through.
Wana post two video kwa social media. Hey, Conscience yuko by next door. Anapanda anashika mic anaimba, you don't wanna bother anybody. Hivyo tu dakika 5, 15 minutes he's out. He's gone to another club. 15 minutes he's out. Like, dude made money on a layover.
I don't even know what to think about that.
Creative economy.
Yeah, that's now you have to be creative to make money.
It's so cutthroat that you have to think outside the box on making money. So that is there was that issue of the expenditure on how it in Nairobi, especially the party scene.
Yeah,
had gone down. It's gone down drastically, and you can see by the numbers that KBL East African Breweries posted.
Yeah,
on the decrease on their profits on this quarter was so high. Now, coast. So
coast wapi? Mombasa, Malindi, Kilifi.
So yeah,
South Coast.
Unlike other years where I usually just decide to fly to Diani and chill and relax. This year, my younger brother decided that he's going to drive from Nairobi, South Africa. So I told him, I'm gonna ride with you up to Zanzibar and then let you go down and
wait
I'll
a minute.
come back to you.
What do you mean ride up to Zanzibar? Zanzibar is an island.
Drive with him up to Tanzania, up to
Okay.
Dar, and then
Okay.
when we get to Dar, we go to Zanzibar, we chill for a few days, and then
Okay.
when I come back to Dar, he continues me. I fly back to Nairobi.
Smart
so
idea.
I was like, let's do this. Ali, you've done that drive.
Absolutely.
Usually, it's and if you do it during the holidays, it's a lot of traffic. Will take you. It's usually an 8-hour drive. It's gonna take, if you do it during the holidays, it's gonna take you around at the best 12.
I never recommend anyone doing that drive. That's a
At the
drive.
best, yeah.
It's good, like for scenic purposes, but it's a bit too much.
Why is that?
Guess we
Too
did it.
much?
Guess we did it in how many hours?
How many hours?
6.5.
How did you do that? Because typically there's
The
usually
road was
sometimes
clear.
Okay.
The road was clear. There were no people on the road.
Okay.
Is it tarmac?
No, yeah,
Yes.
it's a very good tarmac road.
It's a very good tarmac road.
Okay.
It's a very
But it
good
has a lot
tarmac.
of traffic.
The only bad part is from Mariakani to Mombasa.
But did you get any disturbances at the border?
No, at the border I didn't get any disturbance.
Okay, because
It was a
that's
very
another
strict
issue that could delay you.
No. This was a drive from Nairobi to Mombasa. I'm telling you that took.
Oh,
6.5
Nairobi to
hours.
Mombasa. Okay, Nairobi to Mombasa. Oh, I thought you were saying Nairobi,
Yeah.
Nairobi to Dar. I was like,
No.
Nairobi to Dar, 6 hours?
No. Nairobi to Dar is if you do a full drive. it's
That's
like
a
3
hostile
hours.
drive, yeah.
So no, that's Nairobi to Mombasa. So I was just saying the road Nairobi to Mombasa didn't have people. Again, showcasing the thing that most Kenyans didn't travel this holiday season.
Okay. All
But
right.
now
so-
again, we are talking the locals, correct?
We're talking the locals, yeah.
Yes.
Most Kenyans didn't travel because
But I
that's
mean-
usually road.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, if there's not too many cars on the road like there normally is, it's both the
There
locals,
normally-
and it also means that even the people who normally come to visit and will be part of that traffic, maybe there's
Are not
also
there.
is also fewer of them. Yeah, so Mika, we're to Malaysia and then we're gonna get.
That
to
wasn't my
read some of the
experience
comments.
going shags though.
Yeah.
Shags,
Yeah.
going shags. There was a
So-
lot of people. People were
Yeah, so
quite a lot on
again,
the
the
road.
same thing in Diani. The results are not as full as
Hmm.
they usually are. There's basically what I'm trying to say is like the economical pinch is being felt in the country.
Okay.
It's being felt. People are still doing the things they do. People are still partying. People are still trying to live life normally as best as they could. But would they want to live it better? Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's just that it was kind of depressing, and it was kind of depressing. I would say this is one of the most chilled holidays I've had, because the point is it's on Tuesday, you want to go out, but then you ask yourself like that.
Yeah.
Like unakwenda club mko watu 800 club kubwa mnaangaliana.
Okay, all right. So two very different perspectives from two people who went to Kenya, both on the One Mic show. DJ Omosh Fire, he felt that
Life was going
like
on.
life was great, you know.
Yeah,
and everything
saw,
is okay.
I saw people spending and hanging.
Yes, but now Mika's perspective is that yes, kulikuwa na sherehe na nini, but not with
It was
the
at
intensity.
in a reduced capacity.
It was in a reduced capacity, and even that analysis of the traffic on the roads, because I think that's also a good indicator of people spending when you have a lot of people traveling, because that's a stat that I think is also tracked in the US. You know, like when a lot of people are traveling, more money gets spent. So
Yeah, I
that's very
didn't hit
interesting.
the coast part. I hit Nyanza part, that side. That side there was traffic like a nonsense. In fact, it got to, and I left Nairobi early. I left Nairobi on the 20th. Going that side.
Nyinyi ni wale watu toka late alafu mtumiangi barabara ya Narok mnaenda kupingana nyinyi wote nini.
No.
Yeah,
We used Narok actually. In fact, we even avoided some of the regular stuff. So,
The
but
regular most of it, yeah.
yeah, we avoided. So, and there was a little traffic because we left early on the 20th.
Yeah.
It was still okay. But you see, what was interesting about that week was that so we left Nairobi on a Wednesday. Now Christmas is the upcoming Monday. So Friday is actually the day now when there's
People
a
are
lot
traveling.
of traffic on the
Yeah.
road
Yeah.
because people want to be in place by Sato.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be in place by Saturday, basically. So you're on Saturday, you're in place. Sunday, you're chilling. Mondays, the holiday. Then alafu ukona Boxing Day on Tuesday.
Yeah, now you guys need to, Mika na Omosh, I've never been to Nyanza or Western Province.
Okay.
And that's a violation. That's a yellow flag on you guys.
So
Okay,
so I don't think you
so
can.
Wait.
I don't think you can blame us.
You cannot blame
no,
them.
we
I
can
don't-
discuss the blame later.
Okay.
But for now, it's a yellow flag. You can go do a booth review
Mosh.
or VAR check.
Just get your ticket.
Yeah.
It's
We
okay.
can
just
do a
drive
booth
down.
review.
We got you. We
Why-
got you. In
why-
fact,
why-
whenever you're
why am I
ready,
spending
whenever you're ready,
when
say
I
in
have
your
a
home.
place where I can go live and eat for free.
Wherever,
and even
whenever,
carry food.
whenever you're ready, say in your home.
Okay.
Well,
Haya, sawa.
sema nyo
We
ho,
will cut
tuku-
this
tuku-
part.
tuku-
We will cut this part.
tukupeleke mpaka Uganda.
Whenever
Hey,
you're
I
ready.
don't know about Uganda.
Whenever, actually, in fact, that
You
part,
have to get to Uganda because
Nika,
my
that
child
part
is-
I'm ready
my
because
child
I
is
haven't done that
Uganda.
part.
Okay.
I haven't done
child is
UG.
My child is at the border. Basically, Ushagoguru ni border.
Aya,
Unavuka
sawa.
border, we
Sawa.
can go in and come back. Hatuendi Kampala, usijali. Hatutakupoteza.
Sawa,
Kwani,
we're going to make
what's your
plans
fear
for
about
this.
going to Uganda?
It's different.
no,
When you're, those border towns, you go back and forth. You
Yeah.
go, you buy milk, kuko, you come back. It's a very interesting.
I don't
So why
fear
is he
Uganda.
afraid? It seems like he doesn't want
No,
to.
no,
go
but,
there.
no, I don't fear Uganda.
He'll be served like Sebo.
No, me, I'm a guy of baby steps.
Okay.
You know, I cannot just. I've never been to Nyanza and Western,
Western.
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, niko Uganda, furu
No,
condition.
but
Do all of it.
Yeah.
Ali, you cannot come to Busia and not cross the border.
I
You have to
know.
go.
You
Ah,
do
okay.
all of it.
Okay, aya, sawa. We will discuss that that trip, how it will be. Ruth,
Yes.
a lot of comments were coming in when Mika was speaking. Tell us what people think about what Mika says.
Yes. So somehow it starts at the airport. So people want to know, do they have a list of the not allowed items at the airport, or how does one know what they have is not allowed?
They have a list. They have a list even on the website. Even it was on when this thing was going on. They were on Twitter and everywhere. That list was moving around.
Guns,
They have a
knives,
Mika, please share that
ammunition,
list in the comment
and,
section.
Dildos.
Share that link.
Yeah, dildos.
Oh, by the way,
what do
dildos
you
was a
call
real
it?
thing. Me, I thought people were just
No.
talking
No,
about
it was a
it.
real
No,
thing.
no,
it's
Real
real.
thing.
Why?
It's a real thing.
Porn.
Okay, let me
And then
not.
what do you call it? Drones. You
Wait,
can't. You're not
you
allowed
say-
to
you
bring
s-
drones.
You said
in.
also porn.
Yes.
What do you
Yeah.
mean by porn?
Porn is banned in Kenya.
No, but what do you mean by
Porn,
I mean,
like porn, like
manene,
umebeba,
umebeba
porn, pornographic material.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. I see what you're saying. Okay,
But Pornhub is virtual, so Mika was saying.
okay.
That's
sorry
because
for
I didn't
another day.
open it to see his history.
Yeah, these are not views of the One Mic Show.
Udi says, I think you had to show you are not joking with them. I had 2 laptops and 3 phones.
Meaning Suraya Kazi.
I know. Udi also says, Omosh, when
Udi, not
Udi. Okay, Udi. Omosh, when did we meet at 213?
I think he meant 2013.
No, 213
No,
is a,
213
is a club.
Well, that shows how
Yes.
illiterate,
It's new. It's new. It's new.
illiterate I am.
No, bro,
on
it's new.
Nairobi
No,
clubology.
it's new. It's
Okay,
not
yeah.
your fault. It's new.
You I did not get.
Wash.
We met before the 20th. I think that was probably around the 14th or something like that.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
But then mkienda 213 mtaenjoy ni club ya old school.
Yeah, it's
Where?
nice. It's relaxed. It's
Okay. Pablo wants to know, one mic. Please sema kitu tujue uko area bado. Umekinya sana bro.
He will come in.
Mpaka niko worried.
he can
Waki
blink.
mic sana wazimie sound.
He can blink.
Pablo, we also can see him. Ni kichwa tu tunaona.
Kichwa tu.
That's less saying. Dan being.
That's all it takes.
Udi say is Dan being a Samabani, Slay. It is amazing. Ali, not sure what we're talking about. Walter, if you haven't been to Western, it's on New Boss, Tembea, Kenya. Slay, Humphrey, one Mike Muturi, Unachoma.
Oh,
I think right now it's 100% Uno's time to talk.
Okay, and before Uno talks, I want to remind the listeners, this is the One Mic Show. It's the first episode of the year, and we're still going to be talking about elections 2024, possible Trump presidency, and my, oh my, TB Joshua. We'll still be talking about that. Back to you, Ruth, and then to One Mic.
Yes. I had missed these comments. I had seen them before. Somehow they disappeared. I somehow can go back. But by the way, this is Pablo. By the way, congratulations, Ali. It was on the top 50 Kenyans in the US list. Someone else, I know Ali just responded to say congrats to you too, Pablo. But someone else, I think Slay, said congratulations to you
Doreen
too as
Selly
well.
also. Pablo, was also on the list.
Yeah, Tabitha.
And then Tabitha and Jerry.
Kevin,
and then there was
Lupita,
there was a friend
Larry.
of mine in Colorado called Samindaro, also who works for Boeing.
Yeah.
Also on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Nice people.
Okay.
Congratulations to
Oh.
everybody.
Oh, thank you so much, and credit to all you guys because despite kwa sometimes you're a bit harsh on me, but I think without you
what?
guys, ngojeni nimalize. You guys give me a chance to finish.
Okay, sure,
Yeah, you
sure.
guys give me a chance to
Okay,
finish.
fair.
But the truth is, without you guys, my name would never have been on that list. So
You're
I-
welcome.
Yes, so I appreciate you guys so much, and it's testament to the impact the One Mic Show is having. You need tissues or much?
It's a backhanded compliment. We'll take it though.
Eh?
Uno.
Uno, the mic is yours. Wase wanasema waja kusikia, like umeenda vacation.
Some of them is in your head.
I think you had the longest vacation of all. Ilikuwa ni wewe ama ni Mika? Who had the longest vacation?
Mika.
No, Mika was
No,
working.
Uno.
Mika was working.
No, Uno had the longest actual vacation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mika was working.
Yeah.
Tell you,
working too.
Umoja, I worked for 2 weeks.
Okay. Got you. Yeah, no, yeah. So Uno had the
Working,
longest.
you are working on not being reached. This guy, you message him.
Actually, I discovered that I actually
Where?
have his
Give it
Kenyan number.
3 days.
I actually have his Kenyan number. I discovered.
Like I forgot about that
What?
Kenya number. I forgot.
Why was Umoja reaching
Can
me
Uno
immediately?
talk?
Eh?
Uno. I really want to advocate for you to talk.
No, it's okay. I'm okay by the way.
I know you are, but we've not heard your voice.
Yeah.
He can blink twice. Maybe sometimes you have to give sign language in case pengine amefinywa hapo and we don't know. Just blink twice.
Oh my
so
word.
Like Slay said, kichwa tu. So, I mean, I think
what were your observations?
we can also all share the same sentiment, but I think from where I was, first niliponea chupu chupu when I got to MSA.
Okay. MSA.
Mombasa.
Mombasa.
All right. Okay.
Because you did a direct, right?
Yeah, I did Ethiopian.
Okay.
Also, you fly direct.
I
That
did.
was very-
I
that
I
was
did to
very
Ethiopian,
smart,
Ethiopian to Mombasa.
Smart. Yeah.
So, but anyway.
No,
there-
tell us
there
your
needs
experience.
there needs to be another challenger because what?
What was your experience like on Ethiopian? Was that your first Ethiopian experience?
Yes.
The food. I've had interesting stories about the food.
I think the food is just the same, I guess, with airlines. I guess the issue is the service.
Tell me more.
Talk about that
Yeah,
because I get a mixed bag about Ethiopian. there's some people who have some very good things to say, and then there's some people also who have some not so good things to say. And also Wodemaya, that's one of the people that we have a goal of interviewing this year. We can't promise you. Yeah, but we will try.
Miss
but he's
Trudy,
talked
Miss Trudy, if you're listening,
Miss Trudy, if
put
you're
in a word.
listening,
Put in a word.
And if anyone is following Miss Trudy, feel free to tag her. But Ethiopian Airlines, because Wodemaya has done reviews on Ethiopian Airlines, and Wodemaya, of course, he's a positive guy about Africa. So you tell us now maybe what Wodemaya didn't tell us.
Well, okay, I don't know what Wodemaya did say or did not say.
Okay.
But I'll say
It was all positive, I can tell you.
From my experience, I think when I say service, like let's say when you have your light on, you expect it's like you sort of have to go back in the galley to get whatever you want to get. If it's a drink, or if it's food, or if you have a question, or you want something, or you have to wait for them to calm down.
Yeah.
At the point of either they are coming to distribute food or drinks.
Yeah.
So it's questionable.
Yeah.
It's one of those, do I really have to? Like if you want coffee, like can I get some coffee? At one point in time, like I had to go to the galley to ask for, do you have any coffee?
So you physically had to go back there?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
Hata ukichapa hiyo hawakuji.
Wanalenga.
Of course.
But I think this guy drinks a lot of coffee, so maybe those chaps.
No.
You are getting
I
the
drink
coffee
coffee, but-
shivers in like 2 hours.
Again,
No, 2 hours is reasonable.
it's very
2 hours is
reasonable.
reasonable.
That's
That's reasonable. That's a long flight.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, but in 2 hours, those jokers may not come and show up.
Okay. But again, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So anyway, in-flight entertainment was another thing. It's like the equipment is like old.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those you're like,
So-
I would expect that.
From here, from IAD.
Yes, from IAD to
Ethiopia.
Bole.
Yeah.
Like the in-flight entertainment
And
is
real
one
quick,
of those.
Doreen Sell is in the building, so everybody comment and tell her why people want to hear about her on the One Mic Show regarding her business and also the Diaspora Conference. Tuendelee uno Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's because you were in cattle class. Please upgrade. Washeke. Probably that's why. But everyone even in that class was complaining. Not necessarily just
Ati
cattle
class
class.
mi ndo yangu. Me I'm very proud.
No, ni
Me
sawa.
I'm very proud kwa me I'm happy.
Ni sawa.
Mikasi, umesikia vile hao watu hawana miles?
Mika was posting orange juice. But I leave it at that. All wanna post orange juice.
Start
But anyway,
asking for orange juice.
Wewe
boss.
ulikuwa unauliza coffee.
wewe acha. Tuliona hizo Instagram
listen
post.
to a cattle class.
Wewe tuliona hizo Instagram
Don't
posts.
even pretend.
At the second leg.
Yeah.
Or na. Anyway, so it's one of those, maybe even on the flight back, like audio wasn't working on the audio video. If you want to
Yes.
watch a movie, audio wasn't working at all.
So
even
now
if you
watch
fly-
movie kama 20 Charlie Chaplin, no sound.
like if you could read sign, if you could read lips, probably. And they even had to reset the system, and that's on the flight back. So anyway,
Or
there
you
were
couldn't weka captions.
how you, and the system itself, like it's like you have to, you're almost cracking the
When you're
screen.
bonyezering,
It's not responding.
unafinya kidude.
Bonyeza kidude.
It is not responding,
unapiga ngumi.
and still anyway.
Wow.
It's
Mika
one
is
of those.
mean.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is on the flight back, I sat next to a lady. I was sandwiched between two ladies from Nigeria.
Wait a minute.
One was
You are in the middle.
Yes, don't ask.
Yeah.
So this one, the lady had, this one from Nigeria had said, because there are no flights. She's from Enugu State.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Prior to this, if this line, this route opening, it's like they had to fly into Abuja, spend the night, wake up the next morning to catch a flight to go to Enugu, which is about 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ethiopian Airlines opened a direct flight to her state.
Okay.
So from
From
Addis to Enugu.
is 5 hours.
Okay, so Ethiopian has a direct flight
Yes.
to Enugu.
Yes.
we na KQ amelala bado. Anyway,
So,
Yeah.
you can, that is-
they're being picked up and brought to Addis, and then you guys, you're collected and you come as one package.
yes,
so from Nigeria, okay.
to Addis.
Where do you
Yeah.
stop? You stop still
You
Roma Matogo?
No. You stop in Italy, in Rome,
Okay.
to fuel and change.
Oh, so that
Yeah.
one. So
That's
on the
what
way, on the flight
happens.
back, on the
Okay.
leg back coming
on
back,
the leg
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yes.
But on the leg there, it's direct from.
It's from
IAD
it's direct from
Addis.
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Oh,
got
no
it.
stop?
No, from here to Addis is
Yeah.
a direct flight to Addis.
Oh,
Oh, you don't do
that's
Rome?
new.
You don't
That's
stop
new.
in
No,
Rome?
no.
No,
You only
that's
do
the
Rome.
leg back.
No.
On
They
the
were
leg
doing
back.
both.
Yeah.
They were doing both before.
On the
Okay.
leg
Yeah, they used
back,
to do Rome.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the leg back,
Yeah.
you stop in Rome. It's either Ireland or Rome.
Dublin.
Or Togo.
Dublin, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's either or.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me this time, it was Rome,
yeah.
1 hour refuel, change crew, then a 9.5 hours to IAD.
And then you're in between two ladies from Enugu State.
No, one
don't
was
know.
one was Enugu and the other was Anugu. I mean, sorry.
Oh, my
Really.
word.
Hey,
Wait, what?
Anyway,
Not
I-
associated with the one mic show.
it's
Ah.
whatever
It-
Moshe
no,
said.
it was Mika who
No, the only
influenced
thing
me.
only thing I wanted to ask you, they did not know about TB Joshua, but we're gonna be discussing that later.
No, we
Let's
didn't.
continue.
We didn't discuss that.
We didn't discuss that.
No, we
Okay.
didn't.
Alright.
But anyway, so for them, it's the flight, which I found interesting.
Yeah.
They were complaining, but they've been doing that leg for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethiopia has dominated.
Nice.
Ethiopian Airlines has dominated that.
That's the whole West African side.
That one for over 5-6 years. I don't know how long the leg has been there, but Hash has been flying for 11 years.
Wow. Okay.
But
that's
recently,
interesting. I never knew.
so
about
like you'll find that many Nigerians tunakutana pale Bole, like you say, tunakutana pale Bole,
Mnakusanywa kama nini? Mandazi alafu
beba
mnapelekwa, yes.
we land
Willing buyer,
IAD.
willing seller, uko IAD.
Yes.
The same way that I found myself with chaps in Qatar, my Indian brothers, as we come back.
So now, Satan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So me when on going,
Yeah.
fika there, of course nangoja watu pale when you land. So everyone had to get their baggage scanned. Everyone.
Where in
in
Addis?
Mombasa.
Oh, in Mombasa.
Yes, everyone. So like when
Yes.
you pick up your stuff, however, from the carousel, you have to go. Your bags have to be scanned.
Scanned. Okay, through the scanner.
Yes,
All the bags.
Yes.
Okay.
So now, caveat. So when I was boarding,
See, carry on, Peke.
all bags are being scanned. Even your book, even your
Okay, that's
rucksack, whatever it
because
is.
they don't.
Even the checked-in luggage.
That's
Oh,
because
no,
they
when
don't.
you-
have
when you
scanners.
They don't
Chomoka.
scan
Oh, in
outside.
Chomoka.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
When
don't
it's-
scan them outside prior
Inside.
at JKIA. They scan them.
Okay. So
Okay.
us when we in Mombasa, when you land, all bags,
Yeah.
carry on, whatever. So now me, of course, like you have to go through customs. You go, everyone is picking up their stuff. So me, I noticed. So when before I boarded Upper IAD, the flight was full.
Baby wipes.
The flight was full. So they asked if I could check in my carry on
Yes.
because
Till to destination.
I was like, okay, sir, because I looked at it. It didn't have much. It just had shoes, clothes,
So
whatever.
you didn't have the $10,000
No, I
that
did
Ali
not.
gave you to take home to
Yeah, yeah.
No,
change.
they already disposed this carrier separate.
Okay.
The one that I
Okay.
loaned you now, you have
Yeah.
to return it
I'll-
back to
you
me.
go away.
Yeah.
You may attend.
Yeah,
you
you
may
may
attend.
attend. Yeah.
So when I get there, I find that my carry-on is not there.
What?
It hasn't landed.
Okay.
Oh, it was delayed.
Oh, it's
So
been,
it wasn't delayed. I
it's been
mean,
pulled aside. It's
so
been pulled
no,
over.
it wasn't. So I'm waiting for my carrier, but I'm not seeing it. So I was like, you know what? So you have to go, get scanned, and then you go. You go to report and say that sijapata bag yangu.
Correct.
So when my bags have been scanned, one lady comes and chapas an X.
Yes.
That X.
And that X, so like when the suitcases and everything they chomoka right in front, sasa hapo ndio bench iko ya
Ya
watu wa
kufungua.
customs.
Yes, ya kufungua.
watu wa customs.
Yes.
So me, I quickly,
Nyinyi watu wa X.
so mimi quickly I go pick up my stuff. Then I'm going to report that my carry-on has not figured.
Yeah.
So me I go there. While I'm figuring there, there's this guy. There's a guy who comes and says,
Oh.
by the way,
You have some.
akaniuliza by the way, bag yako imechapwa X. And then he proceeds to
Open it.
no
Try
to check. says okay kona so ukimaliza hata ukitaka unaweza kuja tukumalizie ama ukimaliza pitia hapo.
What if you swiftly erase that X?
So Gathe, they are watching.
God damn.
Bro,
I can't believe you just said that.
Eh? No, I'm
No,
just
no, but
saying.
there are people who actually erase the X.
So anyway, maybe
Wipes actually remove it, just in
Oh,
case you
that's
didn't
why
know.
Mika is saying.
Yes, that's why Mika is saying what he's saying.
but Ruth,
Lower
the
burden
X
citizen
is
over
being
here.
put and the guys are watching.
But you erase it in natural movement. And then you carry
But
it.
they're looking at
Who you
you.
say? Anyway, so me I go, I report my case, but I'm all the time I'm looking, I'm like, hey, Bazil like Nico Batini sawa. So there were 3 people ahead of me. After a while, when I look, there's nobody queuing, there's no Kiria.
At the customs. Uh-huh.
Nilichukua report yangu, bag zangu, au teenager go nigodhia.
Ukiendaga.
Yes. So of course they give you a report. They give you a number. They tell you, okay, you will call you when once your luggage comes in,
Yeah.
and we'll even deliver for you.
Yeah.
So me, I wait. I call the next day.
This is
I
where
call the next day.
This is where you have a plug and you put in air tags.
So
And the layer.
so I get a call a week later.
A week later.
Yes.
So ulifika yani you left the airport bila
My carry on.
And at least $10,000. Useless. Where did you check it? Sorry, go ahead.
So
Ebu let me scare where that $10,000 went.
so I get a call a week
I'm now
later.
getting worried.
A week later I get a call like, hey, by the way, you'll have to come in to the airport.
To pick up your bag.
Yeah, to pick up your bag. I'm like, why are you not going to deliver? Well, because it did not come straight to Mombasa. My suitcase found its way in Abuja.
Ooh.
Huh? How did it go to Abuja?
It went to Abuja.
Funke.
Yes.
I don't even know what you say.
Funke is a person's name, but then it's just a thing everybody says.
Atuno Escobar. Unasikia?
Huh?
Okay,
So anyway,
Yeah.
So that's how my carry-on ended up in Keria.
Had you locked it?
No.
Okay.
But what was missing was like a fire stick. and the
Abuja.
10K. Yes, Abuja. A week later.
Oh, your fire stick, that one that's hooked up.
Yeah, Joji.
It went sure.
It went.
So I'm trying to understand something.
I realized it gone because when I opened the suitcase, I saw the remote, I saw the cable. I was like, my thing is inside.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I identified and I said everything is in here. So I took one suitcase, went home. When I opened, no, the fire stick was
That's
gone.
when you go back because you have 7 days to claim, eh?
I didn't go back.
But I'm just saying.
Oh, so you let it go.
Fire
fire
stick. I'm not gonna go back.
That's a fire stick.
$40.
Fire stick, gotta-
I'm not gonna go
It's
back.
actually
maybe
$29.99.
maybe that's
And I changed.
no, it's 29 but maybe it's the one that had free cable.
It did.
It
It had
did.
all the things and
It had the
bells and
hookup.
whistles.
It had the hookup.
That's why
It
he
had the
was
hookup.
carrying it.
It had the
Yes.
hookup.
Okay.
Oh,
By the way, this is not associated
that.
to the one mic show.
Oh, I did not
But,
know.
Plus-
Okay.
Plus not Pornhub. So anyway, but that is the travel part. But I think, in essence, it's like life was going on, but you do feel that things are not as they used to be.
Okay.
And you hear people complain. You hear the mamas. Hata ukienda shopping, Naivas. It's not as packed as it was like last. Like the last time I was there. Same time, but less traffic, less foot traffic. Mamas, people complaining like everything has gone up, in terms of price. So like if you had 10K, what you would get for 10K, probably is now 4K. What you can get worth. To Omoshe's point,
Yeah.
Like filling up same OT, unajaza na maybe 4,500.
Yeah.
Now it's 7,000.
Wow.
Okay.
That's quite a big.
Kagari kadonyele hivi. Tokens, electricity.
Aish, that's the worst.
In 2023 January, 1,000 would give you 60 tokens, 61. In 2023 December, 1,000 shillings gives you 30 tokens.
Rewind. Come back again. Repeat those numbers again.
2023 January,
Uh-huh.
1,000 shillings would give you 60 tokens.
Yeah.
61.
Yeah.
And I remember buying because I bought for Madeto. And we had this discussion
Yeah.
when we came, where
Correct,
taxes
yes.
are more. Like you're finding that out of 1,000 shillings, 590, almost 600 shillings are going to taxes.
Ouch.
And that is 2023 January.
Yeah.
In 2024,
No, it was 2023 December.
2023 December, 2024 January,
A year later, basically.
1,000 shillings is going to give you 30 tokens.
That's like less than half.
Yes, it is.
Oof. That's like a doubling of the
And that
price.
is that is like now inetangwa postpay, or is it prepaid? Whatever the pay, whatever
No,
the
you're
paid
in
is.
prepay. Postpay, I think
Postpay,
you're
no,
in
no,
Elisha's
prepay, yeah.
fees, yeah.
So it's postpay.
So you have to pay
whatever.
before. You have to
pay
buy the
prepay.
tokens
You
before
buy the
you use-
tokens, then you expend.
Yeah.
So you're getting way less. And you know, in January,
The rates were going
the
up.
rates went up.
Yeah, the rates went up.
It was gazetted, the rates went up.
Yeah.
So to make us point, us when we were driving from Mombasa to Nairobi, we tulichomoka kitu ka 9:30 hivi, tulifika by 5:30 we in Nairobi. Expressway, tukatumia the expressway. As of 1st of January, expressway from Westie, the end of up to James Gishuru,
ilipanda bei pia.
all the way to Mlolong, is it Mlolong? All the way to where expressway ends.
Yeah.
It's 500 bob.
So that's a cutting across the whole expressway.
Yes.
How much
Initially
was it before?
Yeah,
300
It
shillings.
was 300.
Now it's 500 shillings.
Oof, that's more than a 66% increase in price.
So there's a lot going on. People are talking about hustling. On my way back here, we were passing by Naivas. Outside Naivas, there are trucks. There was a pickup truck and one of these tuk-tuk trucks. A tuk-tuk that has been converted to a truck. Guys are selling pineapples outside of Naivas.
From a pickup truck.
Wow.
That's
From
someone
a
who owns
pickup truck. Pickup truck na tuk-tuk. Guys are outside Naivas selling and hustling mananadi.
As you come, you buy. As you exit, you
When
buy.
I say outside Naivas, like the entrance, unaenda like over here entrance hapo nje, guys are hustling. So it's like a mini economy. Guys are hustling within the hustle.
Wow. And they're allowed to do that because isn't that like
And that
it's
was
our
what
business
that
away
that,
from
that
Naivas?
outside.
now that's the thing. At even Naivas is very accommodating to allow people to hustle outside. The only-
Ama it's a cartel. Maybe they've paid someone to be
probably,
there.
who knows? We don't know. But that yeah.
Or maybe those mananadis are from Naivas. Zile zimeoza.
Maybe kuna mtu who's hustling there. So I think there's and I met a lot of guys. I went to Nakuru. Guys are complaining. People who are in support of Ruto. You find that guys who own businesses, uko, totally fed up, frustrated
Yeah, the businessman.
with whatever is going on. Taxes, guys are. I'm even now, like even my own farm, or people who were adamant about Zakayo, adamant, saying this guy, if he die and change, is gonna be a one-term president. And we are talking about people who are saved, guys who voted for the guy simply because he's Christian.
Mount Kenya.
Mount Kenya.
Papa is coming.
Let me tell you.
But anyway,
What
It
about
was one of those things where guys are just complaining. Guys who supported him are not saying anything. In fact, I wish Baba Hanya. Yeah. He was even having
Baba Hanya was totally against Ruto.
No, he was, but I'm saying he was alikuwa ground hata yeye.
Yeah.
He was alikuwa ground hapo Quivers, Kenol, Kabati.
And Baba
Huko.
Hanya is Baba Rehema. Remember
Baba Rehema
Rehema was here last
Baba
year.
Rehema.
Yeah.
Huko guys are done.
If there's someone who's not letting Ruto supporters breathe,
Is
Oh,
that
it's
guy?
Baba Hanya.
Anawachapa
Yeah.
slaps. So
Whips.
in as much as probably guys were having sherehe, I think it was limited. It was not every day.
It was limited under a cloud of all these other things.
And it's like instead
That were happening.
of dundaing for 2 days or 3 days, guys are dundaing 1.5.
Okay.
So, what was your experience about forms of payment when you're paying for things?
So let me say this.
Mbesha.
Tulienda Nakuru, we went to Hyrax Hill. It was a site. It's Gava.
I know the park.
You know the park, but it's like somebody's house. they have hyrax and some iron or some stuff was discovered a while back in the
Hyrax.
40s. It was
define hyrax.
it was some animals.
okay.
They're called
Hyrax
hyrax. But it's in
zinatoshana hamsters.
yeah,
Ah, Panya kubwa, panya buku.
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
So nowadays, you can't just M-Pesa. You have to go to eCitizen and pay through eCitizen.
How much are you paying?
However much it is,
Yeah.
you can't just do you can't just do M-Pesa.
So it's
all
a-
the money,
it's
all
a
the
payment
money,
portal,
It's a
basically.
payment portal on eCitizen, so you have to pay through eCitizen. So you have to have an
You know,
eCitizen
I
account.
actually did this.
Yes.
I
So you have
went
to pay through
get
eCitizen.
I went to get when Umosha's that mode of payment just hit me. I went to get my suits altered. Right? Since nili alafu kitu kingine pia Kenya ukiluzi kitambi wanakudharau wanaona pesa losing weight in Kenya is not a good thing. Unadharauliwa mbaya. Anyway, I went to alter my suit.
Wanaona una njaa.
Yes, Mac. He's not a Muhesh. Kiongos. He's not. He's not a Kiongos anymore.
Mika light.
Bazu, jina Bazu iliisha. Huko nimekuwa tu kama. Anyway, I went to get my suits altered, and the funny thing is that the guy who altered my suits actually asked me if I can pay him in cash.
Oof.
And his shop is in a mall in Westlands. He's a Mwindi guy, and he asked for cash. And most people especially small business people, before they give you their pay bill, they will actually ask you for cash.
Or even they'll ask you to send direct to their M-Pesa.
That
Or
is
to
concern.
sending direct to the M-Pesa was
Yeah.
the last resort to QRPNS in cash. Then they would give you M-Pesa, but they
And to
it's
add,
like people are trying to avoid.
yes.
Okay.
Um,
And that E thing, what's
People
that
are trying
funny
to avoid
thing?
anything
ETR.
that can-
Yeah,
anything that
ETR,
can be
yeah.
tracked.
And I think we discussed this before we ended the show last year. We talked about how people are
Changing their paying habits, yes.
pay the payment portal. They are sort of deregistering from Safaricom
From M-Pesa.
from M-Pesa.
Yeah.
So
From
guys
mobile
are asking
payment.
requesting cash. I was gonna say is I don't know. Things have gone up. Flights. I would get a flight from Mombasa to Nairobi. Last year, it was about 7K.
Okay.
One way.
Yeah.
This time, one way, you're getting a flight for 14K.
Oof, double.
One way from Mombasa to Nairobi. But over here, Graz, by the way, Graz, what's up? Here's the interesting thing. SGR booked fully.
Fully booked.
Yes.
You
Okay.
can't book.
You can't book.
You can't. In
You
fact,
can't access.
By the time
And this
we
is
were
one of
by the
this
time we
December.
were leaving
So is
here,
it because it's cheaper or
It's
yes,
cheaper.
that's
Okay.
it. Yeah. By the time we were leaving here, all those things were full. If you didn't know anyone,
Yes.
you're not getting in.
what
Yes.
about bus? Ama nyimuli
No. See that we didn't upgrade.
Eh.
You know, there's some of us, we have a fear of Tahamid and those buses. And
Ah,
all that.
okay.
But not to say that, again, remember, most people are not driving. So I am sure buses were packed.
Yes.
Okay.
If
So
you
when
had
you-
not
when-
booked by a certain time,
When you hear
Yeah.
Mika talking about me, when we figured Nai, my mom was like, "Ay, na mumekuja haraka." Because even me, I noticed. I'm like, "Ay," because usually when we're
Hakuna
driving
watu kwa
up,
barabara.
we know trucks are coming. We try
Correct.
to avoid driving like on a Friday, because we know if we drive on a Friday, we are going to chomoka early so that we don't kutana with trucks going up, because kuna zile trucks zinateremka ndio ziende port kupokea, lakini kuna zile zimepokea zinapanda juu. But there wasn't that much traffic going, and even coming when we left like on the 23rd, because we are like, let us not do Friday, wacha tutoke Thursday, so that we beat those guys who probably might think wacha tutoke Friday morning.
You beat the system.
We beat the system.
Yeah.
Not we were able to,
Yeah.
but there wasn't that much traffic. So I think the people are still doing what they are. There's a resiliency of Kenyans. I mean, kuna resilience ingine ya ajabu. but it's at a struggle. There's a strain, and you can tell, even, you can see a lot of people, maybe guys saved up enough just for the holidays, but now, like, even when you listen to Spice, you even amongst your friends, unasikia tu shule zinafunguliwa, and because that's another thing, because the system with the new change and everything and whatnot,
very confusing.
Yeah.
It's thrown everybody off.
That is one. Two,
yeah.
pesa ni shida. So even watoi kwenda shule, that's another struggle.
But yeah,
So it's one of those, like
Unajua,
Mika
it
said.
got to a point whereby even like this past few weeks that I was in, because me nimekuja when my date when I came was on 24th or something. So you could see, like, even when you're like, that be my boy, tuwe tutoke, right? Haikukwenda tutoke, like, most of ni wale mkisema tutoke, if you go, ukitoa kachupa watatoa pia ama something. Zilikuwa like, yo majamaa, tuendeni tukakunywa whiskey, like, you had to specifically tell people, I got you, ndo utoe watu kwa nyumba.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
people were choosing what to do. Like, people, you got to a point where you have to make choices, right? Either the kids are going to eat ama utapiga sherehe.
Okay. Oh, wow. Now, very good analysis. Omosh, Mika, Uno Mike. Different perspectives, but very good analysis. Before we get to TB Joshua, Ruth, please read the comments.
Yes.
I know a lot of comments were coming in through. And we're going to get to TB Joshua shortly. I know that's a topic most people have been waiting for.
Actually, I'm going to start with Slay saying, I'm waiting on TB Joshua. Then says, the way Uno disappears needs to be investigated. All we call him is One Mike. Historia One Mike in Akapoa, please. Shh. I had good experience with Ethiopian in 2006. Great food and pint.
We're in 2024.
Yeah, that's alcohol.
Yeah.
We're in
Ali
2024.
Badawi, let me listen in. That's Doreen checks in. And then, like, she wants to listen in. Washeke Humphrey, One Mike Muturi, it's because you are in cut class. Please upgrade in 2024. Slay Doreen, I see you. Hi. We would like to hear about the diaspora conference. Doreen, we would love to hear your perspective of the diaspora conference. Slay says, where? I don't know what she's responding to. Jodo Omole, hata kama you're seated kwa jump seat, you're entitled to service. It's about your coffee, I guess. Nimesikia ndege ya kwenda bole is ni kama mati za Embasava. Pablo to Doreen, I was Kenya, hapa ni kufungua roho about summer burning. Tumesikia uko na story moto, kama tuambie please. Pablo and Mike has spoken about the Ethiopian airline experience for the last 10 minutes. Alifika Kenya kweli.
Nani kona shambulio? Nani ni Pablo?
Pablo anakuja na ubaya 2024.
Slaves like Pablo kwa mpole. Washeke Jodo Mole, unfortunately this poor service is only meted to Africans. Doreen, Paul Ndegwa, Washeke, they want us to be brand Kenya 100%. Tujivunie kwa Wakenya out in diaspora, hakuna kuchafua jina.
So is that about the diaspora conference? So they want diasporans to be brand Kenya. Okay.
Yeah.
For free. Okay.
We can
Doreen Seli will tell us.
I think we already are. We already are. We can, but we need to feel the part of the fabric of our nation. As it is, they only need us to pay the bills and prop the shillings. I'm very happy with Turkish Airlines. That is Jodo. Then Slay, what has your experience been like, if you don't mind? They are working on smooth process flows for diasporans on various matters, e.g. land buying, document processing. This is Doreen about the diaspora conference. Pablo, nilisikia ukitembea na rangi ya kiwi na brush kwa mfuko, hiyo X ina lost mara that.
Okay, but now that your sanduku has to be black. Your sanduku has to be black. That's a new idea. Not endorsed by the one by the show.
People, I swear, surely.
Are you patriotic? Pay your
that
taxes.
person went to boarding school. That one, is a person of boarding.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
And then I went wipes too.
Slay response to Pablo and says taking notes about the kiwi. Washeke to Slay. Their service is very good, but the customs, stock immigration, and security at the Istanbul airport are racist. I had a skirmish with them. Dude, I have not traveled with Ethiopian Airlines, and I'm not interested at all. Pablo, previous governments have promised this streamlining. Do we know what makes this different this time around about the diaspora conference changes they want to make? Stephen JJ, Abuja, Cheka, Washeke. Oh wow, Paul sana, this about the racist treatment in Istanbul. I've thought of traveling in Turkish but was not sure. Then Steven says Qatar Airlines, no issues. Kama Abuja, Funke, Slay.
It's
I've flown
Funke.
Qatar. I've flown Qatar. What I dislike is the flight from DFW to Doha is almost always delayed, and I've ended up missing the flight to Nairobi. All my experience with them, I think Qatar, have been good. Iyo fire stick ilikuwa na nini, one make alikata kuirudia. Asking for friends at DHS. I flew with British Airways. Mimi sijawahi kuwa delayed. It's about Qatar. I flew with British Airways. They're good. Steven, imefanyika twice kuwa delayed. KQ kaa kimya. That is Brian Nyamu. Then Steven Slay, nowadays kuna 2 flights to Nai. Don't take the one with 1 hour layover. You will definitely miss the flight to Nairobi. Ashley says British was good, but the food didn't set well with my stomach. Slay responding to Steven, okay, nilichukua iya 1 hour layover. Yeah, avoid that one. Compare. It was reported on the news jana CS Murkomen
Yes.
is about to gazette more toll fees.
Mukoman.
Oh, Murkonman.
Murkom, okay.
Yeah.
Washeke,
That's a good one.
their service is good, but be prepared to stand for yourself, and having US passport helps. This is on Turkish. I flew
I
Air
actually like Turkish Airlines.
Yeah. Ashley says I flew Air TZ, and that was nice as well. Zakayo is not playing about those taxes. Wanaona umekonda juu ya shida.
Oh, that's Tumika.
That's Tumika. Got us a lot to pay cash in Isili. It's E-Teams, not ETR. Pablo talking about the taxes.
You get my point.
Yeah. Several people I know downgraded their kids' school. Things are thick.
Yeah, that's another big part when we're gonna start talking about finances on the show, especially people who are planning to move to Kenya. School, that's a big deal. That's an expense that I think people in America underestimate. But when you go to Kenya and you want to take to kids to a school in the same standard, that becomes a big issue. I think someone like Udi Madenge, who's had a chance to stay in Kenya for an extended period, can actually give us, conversations. Washeke too has also talked to us about that. That's another big thing that I think a lot of diasporans who are planning to move back, especially if you have 3, 4, maybe even 5 kids, have not processed how much it's gonna cost to educate them in a private school, a proper private that has the standards of the school district that you came from. Now that becomes a problem.
3,
But I
4,
know-
5 kids, Father
Yes,
Abraham.
Yeah.
I just about to say something about that, but then I'm like, I should not say anything. But like, I don't know, as millennials, because I know I'm solidly in the millennial corner here. Having more than 3 kids, sometimes I feel like, how are you gonna survive that?
No, in America it's expensive,
If-
but I
If
think
you can afford them, get them.
but you see it's even beyond affordable. But I think we're gonna start another topic that we don't want to start.
I know.
Bookmark that topic.
Yes.
We're gonna have a day when we'll discuss that. Now we want to get to the part that a lot of people have been waiting for. From the beginning of the show. Get to that part. Want to talk about an explosive BBC investigative piece that exposed Nigerian pastor TB Joshua. My oh my. And the expose, was about, for those maybe who did not watch that documentary, rather investigative piece, both on YouTube, and there was a different version on BBC podcasts in any podcast platform that actually went into more detail. It had 9 episodes. So that one was much deeper than the 3 episodes that were on YouTube. So just basically, this was he's a very popular, like evangelist from Nigeria with international fame, and he traveled the world a lot. But there were issues that were brought up about him in this investigative piece. Now, I just want to make sure everybody in this panel had a chance to
watch.
Mike, maybe let's start with you.
I didn't watch it.
I only watched one episode.
You only watched one episode. First of all, before you go to Mike, why did you only watch one episode? What was it? What were your feelings about that first episode, and what made you not to move to the second episode?
Okay, so several things. Number one, it's January, we're closing end of year, so I come home, I'm tired.
January closing end of year or December?
You understand?
We're in January.
You're closing 23.
We're closing 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
this is finance account one.
It happens in January.
Sure.
So it's been a busy month. Actually, I'm working tomorrow. If I don't finish that, I need to work Sunday because Monday I have a presentation to do that I need to finish. So it's been a busy month to begin with.
Excuses.
For the entire pandemic, I have spent a ton of time listening to, from 2020 to now, I've listened to so much content around cult, like what TB Joshua was doing. I don't want to call it content, but different
content.
Stories, experiences, let me call them experiences from different. So there's the biggest one. This was actually run by Christian Today. Christian Today is the premier Christian news platform for Christian news, right, in the US. So they had one about this mega church in Seattle run by Mark Drischel, if you guys know about that. So I spent a ton of time listening to that. There's another one in California. There's another one in the South, which is listen, this is just so I think by the time I'm moving and then Shakahola last year, it was more it kind of rings I've had this before, I'd had this before, right? And it's funny, every time I start listening, whatever different location it is, there's a ton of similarities.
Okay.
And I think it being in Africa hits home a bit more for me. And I'm I know people are actually going through that.
Okay. And now
in Kenya.
Yeah.
So I'm I not distance more, but more I get it, but I'm already too tired from work to keep picking up this emotional.
So that's what stopped you from going to episode 2. That's what stopped
me. It was just I actually know people today who attend churches like that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, you also said, and this we're going to get back to later, but you also said that most people are one step away from being a cult member.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that, what you mean.
Yeah. But let me say what I mean by that.
No, we're going to talk about that. So I don't want you to spill everything.
Okay.
But, I want to go to Mike. But remember, we're going to talk about, you said, most people. An overwhelming majority of the people are one step away
from being in a cult.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to talk to us about that. Mike, what was your experience? You watched all
I've watched the 3 episodes.
Yeah.
But I know religion is a very sensitive subject, but also it reinforced for me how I think we as Africans have been hoodwinked when it comes to Christianity, and the form of Christianity in this case with what TB Joshua did. And if you watch it, it's very disturbing, and how religion has been used, to enrich some people. How religion, in this particular case, when I say religion, let me talk about. Am I gonna call them Pentecostal or the CFDs. Because you know this
Pentecostal.
Pentecostal. So
Okay.
Pentecostal, the Pentecostal form of whatever branch of this particular career
Is that a branch of like Protestant Christianity or
it's Protestant. It's it's a branch. Like
It's a branch of
it's
it.
only wale wa Pentecostal or you know Holy Ghost fire, speaking
Okay.
in tongues.
okay?
Those guys.
Mhm.
And you know, these are the same guys who I think majority of the message is along the lines of prosperity gospel. You know, tithing. You know, give. You know, if you know, in order to speak to the prophet, you know, there's also, you know, assignment or, you know, prophet, foretelling, deacon, prophetess, whatever. And if you want to speak to the prophet,
Ufupi uongo mingi.
pay 1,000 shillings or $1,000 or whatever. Bless the what, you know.
Chunga mchungaji.
It has that one. And I think and I can sometimes see it like even within my own family when I look at family, how like there's certain it's like you become blinded, maybe like what Ruth was talking about, maybe one step away, but there's certain things you don't see, like you're supposed to be able to see, you know, first feed your family, but don't give all the money that you have and then you're left with nothing. You know, if you look at Profit War, you know how all of a sudden there's a standstill in the season of Nairobi because
When
the
he
guy
went to a clothing store.
yeah, you're like, yo, my man, Nikki. But again, that's just me, and I fear.
Okay.
TB
All right.
Joshua.
Good. So we're gonna come to Mika real quick and then to Omosh regarding this. But before we go there, you know, a couple of comments have already come in. You know, like Ruth, please read the few comments that are coming in so far.
Okay. So let me tell you mine. After 2 days, I finally finished the documentary. Pablo, I personally did not watch it. I just heard about it and I was like not surprised. Same script, different cast, 100%. I identify with that. Slay agrees with Pablo. This is so true. It was a lot. Kaiser says, be careful, they may come for you.
I
Pablo,
think that was too no.
you know, question for Ali. What do you to watch the expose?
I'll say that after you finish reading the comments.
Yeah, and then Slay plant a seed. It's
310
one of the things-
Kanyari 310.
Yeah.
Yes.
Slay,
Pastangana.
you told not to question anything and how you are problematic if you do not believe or follow the teachings of
Okay.
person.
So I think, you know, like a very good question Pablo is asking, and I think I can have 100 reasons why, you know, like I had to watch this documentary from when the trailer was released. And BBC is very good at even building this trailer and capturing. It's very difficult to capture my attention because I'm a big, you know, like content, you know, like viewer or listener. So BBC has some of the most powerful teasers. So I was like, okay, this one I must watch. But part of the reason why I watched it is, you know, just a basic reason is that anything that goes viral, because of the space that we're in, I will watch it. Not necessarily for knowledge value or enhancement, but also to understand what most people are listening to, because this thing went viral. So you have to understand, for you to be able to talk to people about certain things, you first of all have to know, you know, like what are most people out there listening to, what's a community. And that's the reason why, you know, like I will watch, you know, bad content that I would typically not just search for and watch, but just because that's what a lot of people are watching and it's having influence on what the people are seeing. So this was just one of those. The other thing is that BBC does very interesting documentaries. I actually watch all their documentaries that they do, you know, like on Africa. You know, the one issue I have with BBC is that I mean the documentaries, I'm not gonna say they're non-factual. Some of them, you know, like the one they did on that private investigator in Kenya, I can't remember her name. Yeah, that one was a disaster by BBC standards.
Jane somebody or something.
That one was a disaster. But most of the ones they did, you know, like on children being sold, being bought and sold, you know, like newborns being bought and sold in Kenya, you know, like that's something that's been happening and actually had been reported before on Kenyan media. So these are documentaries I watch, and I'm also, like a self, how do I put it? Ndo watu wasiseme, tuonyeshe credentials zako. Like I'm also a self-taught historian. I love history. I love religious history. And when I talk about religious history, I just don't mean the religion that I practice, which is Islam. I'm talking about Christianity. I'm talking about Judaism. Like the major faiths of the world.
Yes.
Yeah, the major faiths of the world. Like I like I like understanding. Like where things started from and how things got to where they are, because it gives you a very fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And I think like all places of worship should be teaching history classes. Like I mean, I know this is very controversial, but I think they should be teaching history classes to make people understand certain things. So on this cult issue, TB Joshua, I'd heard the name before. I did not know how big he was. Like, of course, it's a name that I'd come across before. I just didn't know how big he was. So I wanted to listen to know, like what people are listening, and also to deconstruct BBC. But this was one of those documentaries that I was not able to deconstruct them, because the kind of overwhelming evidence that they presented was just a bit too much.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you watched any other documentary that details things like this?
Oh yes, the one on the Jonestown one.
Okay.
The cult, the one where Americans were taken to some
Jonestown
island, and even I think a congressman or a senator, was killed. And then there's there's a couple. There's this guy who's also in prison. I'm forgetting his name. He's called something Mason. He was jailed for life. He was also in some. He was getting women into some religious cult and then killing them. But and then of course when we go to the Islamic side, because these are issues that I'm gonna talk about, like how they manifest, like on the Islamic side and how they are dealt with. And I'm also, as a Muslim, gonna make a strong defense for Christianity, because I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to feel that Christians are criticizing Christianity a bit too much. And I will give the reasons why, like I've gotten to a point where I feel like even as a Muslim, I do have to come in defense of Christianity in a bit. But you have to stay tuned. We're
Sure.
gonna go to Mika. Mika.
Yeah.
Yes, TB Joshua. Ama wewe ulikuwa tu unakula sherehe. Unauliza TB Joshua nina. Who is TB Joshua?
Acha nikwambie, mimi najua TB Joshua.
Aya, talk to us. On the ground opinion.
You know, this maker is talking like the guy was with him, Jada. somewhere.
No.
Maybe he's even met him. Who knows?
No,
I agree.
I've not met him. But I saw a lot of. He was actually, those days there was when Facebook was the only social media, and when you got a video on Facebook, it could last. Hakukuwa na reels ati vitu fupi. It was if a video is uploaded, it's uploaded. So there was a lot of TB Joshua media on it on Facebook. At that particular time, there was a lot of people who were sharing most of his stuff and most of his testimonials on how. And actually, the thing that actually made me actually know more about him was when this footballer Adebayo. You remember Adebayo?
Adebayo, Arsenal.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, his mom took nearly all his money and gave it to this guy.
Oof, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So that is how I knew about it. But Adebayo was complaining about how his mom was harassing him. When there was a time Adebayo was complaining how his family actually made it broke. And how his family was toxic, and he said his mom, and one of the things was his mom actually telling him, like, take your week salary to this guy to pray. Like, it was just a stupid thing. And then there was another player for Manchester United, a kid, Angel Gomez, who his mom is Nigeria, who took him to the preacher to pray for him so that he stops getting injured. So that's how I came to know about him. And I was looking at his stuff, and I used to say, like, like, anyway, I'm not one who's big on prosperity gospel. I usually look at it as a sham, as a scam, I don't understand, because I've had relatives who have seen, like, basically unang'ang'ano kule sukuma and unachanga do, you have 900, unaniomba mimi nimesota, unaniomba so ufikishe 1000 ndo itoshea bahasha upeleke kwa anatokaje Margaret wa elimu akuombe. Like, yo, prayer would cure laziness. Work, do something. You know, the things where you look at something and you're like, your decisions are so fucked up. Kule yo 900 yako hata kupelekea mtu uko sijui akuombe atido. Like, you have to work to make money. Simple as that. You're not gonna make money from sitting at home. So, prosperity gospel for me, I was raised a Catholic. I was born a Catholic. I've seen, and then over the years, I've had friends who went to prosperity churches. I have seen pastors coming from nothing. I've seen who were deliverers. J.B. Masinde, he was my neighbor. I went to school with his kids. I've seen him come from just a deacon to a billionaire right now, where he is. And you cannot tell me that this guy who we used to see staggering from his car kijia kwa nyumba, all of a sudden God has caught him to a point whereby he's become a billionaire without being unscrupulous or doing something silly. So for me, prosperity gospel is something I look at it and I actually laugh at it. So when this expose came out, I was not surprised, because I was not surprised about anything. I watched 2 episodes. It's just that it was shocking that it was allowed to go this far. And if you tie it back to Kenya and all these other places, it's tied in between. There's politicians who are tied into it, and it now becomes more of the church is being used to do things like organ
donation,
not even organ donation, smuggling of organs, kidnapping of kids, and all this, everything that they are being accused of. It's hard for you to actually say they're not doing it, because people just join churches and disappear. People do this, like, yeah. So for me, I look at it and say that when I've always called for churches to be taxed, all of them, Catholic, nini zote zikuwe taxed, they make a lot of money. They need to be taxed. I do not believe in how you tell people that you have to suffer in earth and then you'll benefit in heaven while you're living you're not suffering. You're living the soft life.
Well,
I've never understood that religion. Me, Kwango J makes sense. Why are you preaching suffering to me while you're living well? I remember the time I asked you a question. Have you ever heard a Kenyan gospel song that doesn't glorify suffering?
wow, that was a very interesting question that it got me thinking, and I could not come up even right now. They're there, but personally, maybe I've listened to only
they're there
viral
for the
ones.
new one, the new one, the new kids, the young kids are the ones actually, and they've gotten it after listening to Western
but Zakina Willie Paul, Sitolia.
Yeah, but then most of Kenyan musicians, like all these Rose Muhando, even this woman Nodini, when you go to Nikulia, it's usually I'm suffering, then God will come and salvation. It's like I have to go through. Why can God bless you right now?
Okay.
Why can God bless you right now? Why can God bless you right now? For me, honestly, I believe this is one of the biggest organized crimes in this world, prosperity gospel.
Wow. Okay.
And to add on to that, I think. Oh, sorry. I think.
No, go on.
Yeah, go ahead, and then Ruth is gonna read the comments, and Ruth also has something to add before we get to Omosh.
Because when you think about it, and somebody draws the comparison, like to Jesus. It's not like he was being carried around by guys, being hoisted on not even on a chariot, like using people to carry him. He's not a guy you'd find chilling over there with the Pharisees and the whatevers, sipping on wine or whatever. No, ni msee alikuwa tu hanging out with supposedly the poor folk, the downtrodden, the prostitutes,
anategemea kukula kwa nyumba za watu.
Yeah. But these guys, their lifestyle is totally different. But carry on.
Okay.
Okay, Ruth. Like I know you have some comments, and there's also some comments to read from what people are saying. So choose whichever you want to start with.
I will start by commenting, and then I'll read the comments.
Okay.
I think for me, it's growing up in a Pentecostal church. I can see how these things tend to happen, right? I just happen to have been, I don't want to say lucky, blessed is the word I say, that I had preachers who would teach the word in church, right? So it wasn't, because the people just preach and they preach fluff. They don't preach the word, right? To them, it's just like, and that's why you end up hearing like, Mungu atakubariki, and because that is the fluff. They're not, it's very loosely based on the word, right? But then if you happen to have had preachers or pastors who actually grounded their preaching on the word, then it's easy to be like, well, that is not what the Bible says, right? So there's that. Now, how do people end up here? Why do the all suffering thing becomes a thing? You guys have to remember, a ton of these people do actually come from poverty or just lack, right? And so in creating hope, they have to believe that something good will come out of it, right? Now, unfortunately, people are not taught that good that it will come out, it will be your hard work, right? Like you have to go out there and look for it. There's the hope that work hard, it will come through for you, but there's the idea of like, just believe God. No, this is the crazy people. Just believe God, it will come through for you, right? There's no solution to like, because this is faith without works. This is, again,
Is dead.
It's dead. And I'm basing these words from the Bible. Faith without works is dead. Nothing will come out of that, right? But if you have faith and you work towards that, then you will prosper in the right way. Like you get food for your children. You get now, because these preachers need to have money, funds. They become very predatory around like getting money, because it's funny, some of the ideas people have, I'm like, why do you even think about building a church? You already have a place you can worship. We really don't have to go about building churches, like several churches around the same place, right? So they go with these big dreams, build a church, buy a vehicle, and before you know it, they're mortgaged so much that they have to keep, and then also lazima mtengeneze pasa nyumba, like in this kazi yake ni kanisani, so we have to do this for these people, right? Because they don't get a salary outside of church, which is fine. If this is what you plan to do, you should get a salary out of it, right? But then it becomes that your members finance everything that you do. So they become predatory around how they're going to ask for money, right? That's why you hear this, like, God will bless you if you give. Actually give this amount of money, this exact amount of money, God will bless you out of it, right? And I would say, if it were not for my background, I probably would have fallen into that as well, right? And so I had to be like, okay, well, I can't give you everything, so nitakula nini, you know? Or I there has to be somewhere where I if I'm gonna go by what the word says, I can give first fruits, I can give a tithe, and that ends there. Like, the idea of like, lazima I have to give more out of that. If I don't have it, I don't have it. And actually, if I don't have that, I don't have that, I'm not going to go borrow money and do things like that. So I need to kind of give an explanation that there are predatory preachers out there, and I think that they are the loudest, and that's what we get to see. There are Pentecostal churches that actually base their word on what the Bible says.
Yes.
And if you've gone through that, you're able to have the guardrails we're talking about, which I'll come back to.
Yes, and
later.
we're going to come back to that. So
later.
But we still have some comments before we come to DJ Omoshfire to get the politically correct version of this conversation.
Okay. One more thing before I go to the comments.
Yeah.
Some of this preachers like TB Joshua, Mark Drischel, and a ton of like.
Is TD Jakes included in that list?
No, I'm not including him.
Okay.
I'm not including him.
What about Creflo Dollar?
I'm not including him.
Okay.
So
Tuliza Mika.
I'm not
Kuwa
including
mpole.
those people.
Benny
For a
Hill.
reason.
Reinhard Bonke.
So
Maurice Rulo.
some of these people have personality disorders,
Okay.
and it's so visible in how they go about doing things. Because you will not tell me, you of right mind with your heart that God has given you, supposed to take care of the sheep that God has given you, then you become that to them. You know, there is a study to that needs to be looked into. Like, there are personality disorders. Number one, I would just say these people have NPD, and this is me not being a therapist, but I can just say, like, this are narcissistic disorders these people have, and they tend to use that, the ability to manipulate people, charm people, manipulate them to do what you want to do, right? And they become really good cult leaders in that, because they know what to say, they know how to prey on you, they know how to manipulate you, and using carrot and stick to kind of get you hooked up into this thing.
They've mastered that science.
They've mastered that science.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to say that.
Okay, thank you.
Can I talk about the cult thing or later?
We will get to that.
Okay,
And
let
of
me
course,
read
you know,
comments.
for those maybe who are just joining us,
Yeah.
Ruth says that a majority of the people that you might be included in that majority.
Everyone.
Yeah, almost everyone.
Almost everyone.
Is
One
a step
step
away.
away.
I was even going to say a step or two, you know, in my almost mind of political correctness, but this was Ruth's word,
Yeah.
so I don't want to misquote her. Say everyone, or
Almost everyone.
almost everyone,
Yeah.
is a step away
Yeah.
from joining a cult.
Yeah.
So you'll tell us
And
about
and
that.
they don't have to be religious, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll come back to
We'll
that.
come back to that.
Okay,
So read the comments.
All right. So let's start with ooh.
Comments zimekuja thick
I
and fast.
know.
Thick and fast.
So we did read that. Question for Ali. Then Ali Badawi, your time ungewatch Becky pale Citizen TV. I don't know. That
Sasa
is,
who is Becky? Seriously,
in my
Pablo.
opinion,
She's the new
Who's
Maria.
Okay, all right.
oh,
If you used to watch Maria back in the day.
I mean, I did watch Maria, but
So now,
but
Becky, so now Becky's the new. See, Maria alienda, the show ended.
Ali graduate. Anyway,
So Becky is the new.
is the new Maria.
Is the new show on Citizen. That's,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Brian, in my opinion, TB Joshua Akuzima alicheza kama yeye conman 100%. Question: Why is Nigeria the epicenter of Christian cultism in Africa? There is something to that. Brian, spiritual conman haven. Many Kenyan prophets are inspired by them. This guy was well connected. So let's just like a prophet a war. Then she agrees with him. Easy money to be made by telling lies. Let's not go far. The expose in Zimbabwe on gold. Some of those guys were pastors, including Kamlesh Patni, organ harvesting.
Pastor Paul.
Or we do what Rwanda did. Bishop Dare and the kids trafficking saga, claiming it could cure female infertility. True maker. If churches in Kenya don't preach a thing or two about suffering, poverty, etc., no one will show up to those churches. 100% Mika, whatever Mika was saying. And then I don't blame the preachers. I blame the followers because they don't read the Bible for themselves. Spirituality has a place in many people, in many people's everyday lives. Then Ben Akech says clergy members such as pastors share similarities with entertainers like sportsmen, actors, musicians, and comedians, much like the widespread support for figures like Messi, Ronaldo, LeBron, James, Kevin Hart. Pastors like Prophet Awar and Pastor Ezekiel can draw massive crowds, filling stadiums with over 60,000 followers at their events. Despite the significant earnings and assets associated with these entertainers, criticism seems to be more directed towards religious figures, highlighting the interesting contrast in public perception. Let the pastors be.
Okay. All right. So Ben Akech's opinion.
Did I miss anybody else?
No. I think did you read the one for James Olongo? Oh yeah. I think you
Yeah.
did. I don't blame the preachers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So yes, we are still gonna get back to Ruth on why she thinks almost everyone is one step away from joining a cult, and I will also talk about, or rather, I will talk in defense of Christianity as a Muslim, because of what I'm observing from outside, and this is just my observation from outside, and I will, because we also have certain similar culty issues within our Islamic faith, And I'll just talk about how they're dealt with and why they don't necessarily. At some point they became problematic when they were recruiting people to go to fight in Syria, when they're recruiting, like minors to go fight in Syria and stuff like that. They got a bit problematic. And I'm just going to talk about how that was dealt with, not by the authorities, but within the faith, because this is also a problem that's within the faith. And not to get into too much detail, but I also think Christianity has to deal with this within the faith. Authorities can only do so much, but this has to be dealt with whole scale within the faith. But I want you to stay tuned. First one to get, Omosh views on what you felt about this, or if you just decided, I don't want to watch this is too much. DJ Omosh fire.
Actually, I didn't watch it. I never watched. To me, frankly speaking, I think that's not the best use of my time. But with that said, with all the things that are coming out about cultism and especially religion in Africa, at one point I was very, very deep in the church, and I saw things happening in the church from the backside, meaning the things that happen in the back before, say, the pastor comes out
in the server.
Yes,
yeah,
the things that are happening huko nyuma, tuseme green room, zile vitu zinafanyika huko nyuma. So kuna I guess you call them evangelism type of ministries, right? Whether it's they're talking prosperity, blah blah blah, or whatever. But you're always sowing. You come in, you sow a seed, and what you pray for something, and wale wanakuja na pesa. Like here in America, you would have kuna line ya 1,000, kuna line ya sotano, alafu kuna line ya so moja. And
what do you mean by line?
Meaning you're coming to sow your seed to be prayed for.
So you're in a queue.
Yes, you stand in a line. So munakuja wale watu wakona, you were called up, wale watu wakona 1,000, unakuja na 1,000. Now imagine you've gone to church, na umetoa 1,000. Now we all know how long it takes for you to make $1,000. You're coming up and you're removing $1,000 as your offering, but also you're sowing a seed into whatever it is that you want to be prayed for. It could be a new job, it could be for you to get a new car, house, blah blah, whatever it is. But you're coming with your seed, your 1,000. Sasa, the interesting part to some of these things, and me, I can only speak to what I saw when I was in the church, was ule mutana kuja kuongea. Let's say whoever it is the prophet or the evangelist or whatever it is, anakuja na entourage yake. Na hii entourage, kuna wase wamekwa kama plants. Kila mtu akona hiyo thao.
In the congregation.
Walikuja na msee, lakini they're planted. Okay. So sazile anaita, anasema.
So you've seen this happen.
Ooh.
I'm telling you.
I'm asking because I haven't.
Yes.
Okay. This is interesting because it's a tactic that's used in auctions, and I'll talk about it. But so,
I
didn't know it was in church, but it's very interesting hearing.
Yeah. So what happens? Kuna wase wanapewa.
It was highlighted in TB Joshua also.
In fact, our say wanapewa pesa. Depending upon, let's say amekuja na wase waine. So tuseme kwa hawa wase waine, kuna wawili wataenda kwa ile line ya 1,000. Alafu hawa wase wengine wanaweza pewa sotano. Nyi muende kwa ile line ya sotano.
Yeah.
Na wase ndio wale kama naye. Lakini unajua saa zile huyo msee anaingia, watu wa kanisa hawajui hawa wase waliingia naye. They even came in the same freaking car. But you see, you don't know because simuku kanisani mnangojea huyo msee aingie. Na yeye anaingia na kule nyuma. Na wase wako naingia na mbele. So wewe ujui pale hawa wase wametoka. Na saa zile hizi dozi wanagawanywa do, mimi naona. Wewe chukua hii. Na kila mtu anajua mission yake. Si ndio? So wanaenda kawa naingia. So msee anakuja, anatoka nje, anapiga introduction nini alafu anasema okay, sasa wale watu wanataka if you want to be prayed for blah blah blah, watu wa 1,000 simameni, kujeni msimame hapa, let me pray for you.
Okay.
So wase waka wanakuja because normally getting people to start hiyo kukuja na hiyo 1,000 ndio ni problem. So these are the ones who are jump starters.
Yeah.
Unaona? Yeah. So hawa wanakuja kama wamepiga manduru manini, then everybody, that crowd mentality. people roll in.
Yeah,
You
there's a
could-
science behind that.
You could get like
Yeah.
10 to 15 people who will come in with 1,000 each. Now, minus his 1,000 or his 2,000, that's 13K. Apple.
Okay.
Now,
Alright.
this is one of the ways that you're actually going to raise funds in a church, by the way. That week of waganetwa, what do they call those weeks? Like either ya prophecy, ama waga ya crusade or something like that. So it'll be like a week-long thing. So Monday kuna mtu anakuja, Tuesday kuna mtu anakuja, Wednesday kuna mtu anakuja, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then now Sunday is now the kumaliza, ya kumalizia.
Yeah.
And in that time frame between Monday and Sunday, munaweza raise 80K, 100K.
Wow.
So it's worth it. But so unajua hawa se wanakuja ku preach, they're different people. They're also paid for speaking appearance, right? So if you go by what's happening over here, umse amakuja na wase wake wanapewa do nini. So in this mchezo wa paka na panya, they can in that day at least 20K could be raised just in that day.
In
So
that
then
one
now
sitting.
what ends up happening is these tunes are divided between the church na umse.
Wow.
So,
Very interesting.
But I mean, I saw things like that happen on the backside. So mimi niliona, so I've seen those things. Hizo vituko za kanisa nini. So like Mika was saying about the prosperity things and stuff. Sometimes you have to ask yourself whether, okay, are these guys legit? Is it mchezo? Kuna ile unajua wasea wanashikwa, wanaanguka. Those are their plans. There are people who actually have been filled, quote unquote, with the Spirit. There are others who have not.
Like in Kanyari's church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people who've been filled with the Spirit. You touch them, they fall.
Wanashikwa na
Then
jazba.
And there are
Masaibu ya
others,
ndugu Jero.
there are others who have not. There are those who actually get quote unquote healed. There are those who are not, who are planted. So it's in a tegemea, and depending on, in my experience, because of my experience, I'm very wary of ministries in general, because me, I have seen it. I've been there, I have done it, I have seen those things. Mpaka saa zingine unajiuliza, okay, surely how. And oh, by the way, this guy who I saw doing this was a preacher from Nigeria. By the
Wow.
way.
Okay.
He
But
was.
not TB Joshua, another
No,
preacher.
it was a guy from Nigeria.
So it seems there's something to do with Nigeria.
But I am not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, in my case, this is what I saw live in action. And this was one of. So he was not the only Nigerian preacher who used to come to this church. And the church was an American church. So a leading American church. In fact, let me just put it this way. One of the guys who ended up purchasing that church, huge church in Bimo. What's the biggest church in Bimo that you know of, a black guy and the
Jamal
guy
Bryant.
Bass.
Wow.
So
okay. And Jamal Bryant is very popular.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
so on the backside, before Jamal got to where he was, unakumbuka pale tulienda tulifanya, it was next door to where we did, one of our boys was having a pre-wedding. It was next to Jamal's church.
Oh, that one I definitely didn't attend.
Pale Keria, West Side.
Primrose.
Primrose.
Yes.
Yes.
I
See,
think
Jamal si alikuwa Primrose.
I think
So-
actually I might have attended that pre-wedding. But
So
story for another day.
anyway, so all I'm trying to say is that church was a huge church before and had even like 4 or 5 branches. And the pastor even drove a Rolls. And the Rolls was presented to him by the church. The congregation bought him a Rolls Royce.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that in some cases, there's things that happen on the backside, and then there's also divisions that occur because sometimes the couple split. And when there's a split between the husband and wife, first lady na the pastor, kanisa pia na split.
You know where I learned that?
Even in Bolti.
You know where I learned that? From a series on Netflix called Greenleaf.
Yeah, Greenleaf,
One of
yes.
the best series
Greenleaf.
It's a
I
really
have
good
ever
one.
watched.
It is a good one.
Yeah, very good
Yeah.
series.
All those things you're seeing,
It's real.
So it's not
all
just
no.
they're not fiction. They actually happen.
Down
They're
to
based
a
on things
T.
that can happen.
They're based on things
Things
that
that
it's
have
not a true
happened.
story.
have happened,
Yeah.
not
Have
can,
happened,
have happened,
have
continue
happened.
to happen, and
Yeah.
will continue to happen.
Hey,
because
because of that, how? Man.
but that was, whose house that is?
I don't know whose house it is, but it has rooms that have rooms.
Tyler Perry.
God damn.
From Great Church Bus.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there are some things that happen in the church, and if you're not in the church, You don't get to see them. You never ever get to see them. And these are things that have happened time and time again.
Okay.
With all these big guys, Reinhard Bonke, sijui, I don't know who. Ukienda ufanye uchunguzi uone how some of these things are conducted on the backside. Hata kina Prophet Uwar. Maze unashika dabu.
See, there's a guy. I know you're pressed for time, but see, there's a guy who at one point in time, is it Popov? There's a guy who was at one point, he was Popov or Popich or whatever. The guy was busted because what was happening was, it was like he was being led by the spirit to call out names, and these people he would call out. And they say, okay, so I think I know there's somebody called whatever, whose husband or wife, whatever, 6 is that the other, whatever. And you know what? God says that you're going to be healed. Kumbe, Jama is being fed information through his career, an earpiece.
Yeah, earpiece, yes.
And we're talking about the 80s. This guy, once he was busted, he went Chinyamaji. Right now, the guy is back, televangelist, selling water.
Yeah.
But carry on. I'm waiting to hear this Ali's defense.
Yes, I'm gonna make a defense for Christianity as a Muslim, despite all this.
Ama, this is for the next show.
It's not for the next show. We're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up with that. I'm gonna make that defense, and I'll give my reasoning why I'm doing this, because there's just certain things that I think that maybe people hear from outside.
Pablo
take a different
has
perspective.
mentioned the person I was talking about.
Okay.
Secretly, it's a conversation. People saying that they were ailing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But before I do that, I'm gonna give Ruth a chance to talk to us and tell us why she thinks that almost everyone is a step away from joining a cult.
Yes.
And please don't compare it to a paycheck.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Talk to us about that.
I'm trying to figure out how would I compare to a paycheck.
Achana na Mosh.
So
we are all
again,
supposedly one paycheck away from
from homelessness.
No. Anyway,
Mika has a solution. It was a church. Carry on.
I need to say this. There is a vast majority of churches that don't operate that way. Pentecostal churches. So because I think sometimes the entire section of Pentecostal churches are labeled that way because the ones that grab the attention are the loudest,
The
right?
ones that go viral.
And they go viral. And again, they say if you do something bad, so if something bad comes out of what you're doing, that travels faster than people actually doing the real groundwork of teaching people the word of God and raising them to be good Christians, if I can put it that way. Now, having watched so many documentaries, and I just don't want to start naming other religions, especially the offshoots of Christianity. I'm not even going to any other. I'm just within the Christian faith, but the offshoots of that. The reason why I just don't want to name them because we might be banned today, is because this is what I spent again. I think I've listened to almost 5 different, and when I say it's long stories that would span either kwanza Netflix kona moja which I can share later, that it would take you weeks to actually get through everybody's experience. What I learned is we all want to belong, right? We all want to belong, something outside just our everyday life. So let's say you have a family, and you belong to that family, but everybody wants to belong somewhere else. They want to feel like I have a purpose in life. And so if you combine those things and you combine them with whatever it is that you believe in, it's easy for you if the people in that group, I'm not gonna call it faith, that group, if they make you feel that you belong, that you matter, that you add value, if you don't have the guardrails of critical thinking, you can fall into a cult without knowing. And I normally say we don't have to go far. MLMs are cultish to begin with. You
mean multi-level marketing?
Multi-level. Those are cults in a different name.
Was it called organo coffee?
Because
walitutesa sana.
Some of the things number one, you also the idea of you'll be wealthy, you'll be able to provide for your family, you have the lifestyle you want, right? there's an incentive for you, right? You want to belong to this club, so that's a
Amway.
belonging. There's a sense of
About
belonging
life.
at that point.
Primerica.
It's-
There are so many.
right? There's so many. So, and by the time you realize that, wait a minute, I'm not even benefiting the way I thought I was supposed to be benefiting, you've spent a ton of your time and money doing that thing, right? Now, try to put that entire thing into a faith that you actually believe, and somebody is telling you that God has called you to to be part of this ministry, and they give you everything that you're looking for in terms of like a purpose, belonging. It's easy. It's so easy to believe that, okay, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so when things start going wrong, instead of thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, what does whatever script you believe in, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or business savvy, like the business school will tell you, or any business article will tell you MLM is not gonna work, right? So if you don't have something that you can go check your beliefs, the things you're being sold, if you don't have a place you can base your belief system
guardrail.
on,
Yeah.
a guardrail, as you said, or you will find yourself in a cult without knowing.
So basically, you're going to Ocean City, a very long bridge. It's so high,
Yeah.
but you're driving a car 50 miles or even 60 miles an hour, one lane, no guardrails.
No
Just
guardrails.
one wrong move.
One wrong
ndani ya
move,
maji.
right? Exactly. And utashangani, how did I get here?
Okay.
But it starts small. So that sense of belonging and purpose, if somebody tells you any idea that taps into those two things,
Into the fears.
into the fears of being relevant in this world, if somebody taps into, take a step back and be like, okay, does this fit in what I believe things are supposed to be? If it does not, and if also they try to make it like quick, like if you don't do it right now, like if you don't believe right now, if you don't jump into this opportunity right now, that selling of like it has to be immediate, like you have to do it right now, that is what kind of gets you into it, and before you realize, you're like, oh my word. So it's easy. You'd rather, I normally say, you'd rather offend people, you'd rather fall out with men of God, as they call themselves, if they're gonna use that as a reason why you're supposed to be part of their church or part of their whatever they're trying to get you to be in. You'd rather fall out with a person than sell your life into things that you don't really know.
Wow.
Like Forex.
Yeah. Let's not even talk about Forex
Oh,
because
sorry.
because I'm gonna get into trouble, because I already got into trouble by some people who are in the business. So let's not talk about Forex also being an MLM. But very interesting point of view coming from Ruth. Just to give us the other side of this conversation, and it's also interesting because in marketing, those tactics are well known. For example, whenever a marketing email is sent to you, it's been crafted very carefully. It wasn't just put together. They always like to entice you with a time limit, that if you don't do this by this, then you will miss out on this discount. If you don't do like you see, like even Kina Macy's Nini, they will tell you this discount is lasting up to
24 hours.
Yeah, it's a 24 hours discount. Sometimes it could even be up to the end of the month. But then that's a tactic that's used in marketing. And now it's interesting, Kuskia, that now these are tactics that are also being carried over, into religion. As now we come to a close, in fact, before I come to my defense of Christianity as a Muslim, Ruth, please read the last few comments, and then we're going to wrap up the show.
Zile Church Pierre was a mommy and daddy. Literally, there are people who literally tell you have to call their pastors or their church leaders by weird names. Run. Pablo umeamua kuleta violence around here. I once saw an expose where a pastor would secretly listen in conversation of people saying what they are ailing of. Then he would show up in church and repeat to the person what he had heard, and if you could
That's what I was
prophesy
talking
what the
about.
person was ailing of, or choreographed, then no, okay, I need to kind of whip that one too. We all want to be part of a community. Religion is a cult the day you wake up. Steven, thank you, says great analysis and appreciate your insight. Facebook likes our cult features too. You ever when we used to be like waiting, like how many people have liked my comment? Once I woke up, then Pablo Umezidi, when Mike Zima Steamer, it's when you wake up from the slumber of stupidity. Hizo MLMs, financial businesses, etc. are truly cults. Kwanza, how they recruit. Come to our meeting. Come to one of your leaders who has made money.
Because of Forex.
Hey.
And the biggest one, by the way, is they do not allow criticism. If you join something that a person will not take you telling them that I think that was wrong. If you join something who cannot take, if you question, you're told you're questioning authority, you're questioning the plan, the business idea. Somebody is not taking feedback, whether constructive or whether positive or criticism, basically what they are doing, run. Then the other one is they create urgency, which is strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you so much for all those comments. Now, real quick, like before I come to my defense of Christianity as a Muslim, and I know this is quite an unusual thing happening, especially in this environment where we watch this documentary and a lot of negativity, like from the church was exposed in this documentary. The first thing I wanted to say before I go to that is because these are issues that we also experience to a certain level within the Islamic faith, but I think we have certain built-in guardrails that are very strong. Now, Christianity also does have guardrails, and one of it is the Bible, but the guardrails we have and here, like before someone tells me, oh, you're comparing Nini. No, here I'm talking about historical information that can easily be verified. So the guardrails we have, first of all, just like the Bible, we have the Quran. Like one major difference, and of course, like as a Muslim, we have to accept Jesus. Like there's no getting away from that, and that's something that sometimes Greek to some people when they hear. Like we have to accept Jesus, as the prophet of God and as the son of Mary. But that's a discussion that we can have another day. But there's a Bible. So the Bible is also mentioned in the Quran as Injil. The word Injil in Kiswahili comes from the Arabic word Injil. So the Quran, one big difference is that there's only one version of the Quran. Like if you go to Wargadud, if you go to Maldives, it's only one version.
So you guys don't have translations?
So when I say one version, we do have translations. When I say one version, we always learn it in Arabic. You can read the translation, and a lot of people from outside wonder, mbona mnalazimisha watoto kusoma hii kitu kwa Kiarabu? And even me, I used to wonder the same thing. Like why can't we just be taught in English, in a language that we understand, English or Kiswahili? But after a certain period of time, I came to understand why, as I got more familiar with the Arabic language and reading the translations, because I usually go through, the Arabic. I do have these English translations. There's a couple of different versions, and then there's Swahili translations. Now, the Swahili translations are very interesting because there was an attempt to translate the Quran in Swahili, like in a text format, and there was like 2, 3, 4 attempts that failed because when they were trying to make the translations, like they were being reviewed by Swahili speakers who understood Arabic, and they were like, no, we can't understood that. And it went to the nuance of, one that has a translation. I'm just giving an example, maybe not exact. One that says wanyama and another one that says mifugo. Like when I talk to you guys, wanyama, mifugo, they sound like the same thing, but they're not, because wanyama implies it could be wild animals. And mifugo, these are domesticated animals. And then you have other nuanced issues, and every different language has very nuanced issues that cannot be translated. And as we're speaking about this, someone tried to translate sisi ni wale wale in English, or dawa ya moto ni moto in English, and capture the same meaning. So that's the complication that's there. when it comes to translation, translate kwa comments. Translate kwa comments. That's a complication that sometimes I think, like people who maybe have not had the opportunity to read some of these texts in their original language do not appreciate. Because you see, wanyama, mifugo, very simple, but could have multiple implications. The Arabic language, for example, in English, Kiswahili, we have singular, plural. In Kiswahili, we have umoja wingi. In Arabic, we have singular, we have doubles, we have plural. Yeah. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Lurar.
Yeah,
Changes
plural. No, I was just trying to see if you guys were paying attention.
Leo.
I was making sure you guys were paying attention.
Sure.
But plural is strictly 3 or more.
Okay.
Now, another that I recently got to learn, and this is despite me having, progressively studying the Arabic language from as far as I remember from when I could talk. There's another one that I recently learned that is called a super plural. That means it's everything. Like there's now there would be a word for the singular, the double, the plural, 3 or more, but then when it encompasses everything, like all the human beings in the world, so there's a certain special plurality for that. So there's certain small details that I think are unappreciated and get lost. However good, I'm a translator myself, and I'll tell you, ask Bandio. So many times, I have contacted him because Bandio also translates. We've contacted each other where you're translating something in English, either from English to Swahili or from Swahili to English, but you're just not capturing the meaning. And sometimes it has to end up in an explanation. So there's some words, like one word in Arabic. I'll give an example. Dust. Dust is dust. Sinivumbi. But because Arabic comes from very dusty places where deserts nanini, they have very special names for dust. There's a special dust that rises up when horses are moving. It has a special name. So when you're translating and just saying dust, then it loses meaning of what they're trying to imply there. So anyway, let's not.
Utaona kivumbi.
Yeah, let's not get into the nooks and crevices. So now, so there's what was I getting to? So there's translations that we read, but the emphasis is on studying it in Arabic. Another question that we always get asked from the outside, and I'm glad I have an audience that I believe almost over 90% non-Muslim that are paying attention to me, and I want you just to utafakari, just take time to think about this. Memorization, still very, very important aspect of the faith, from kids. So we do have kids, and Nigeria is interesting because Nigeria, in the pecking order of countries that have the most people that have memorized the Quran, Nigeria is like number 4 or number 5. Yes, up there, it's above Kina, Saudi Arabia, all these countries that people.
And it's majority Muslim, isn't it?
No. Nigeria is 50-50.
50-50.
Nigeria is 50-50.
Hausa,
I think give and take, they have 18, and I could be wrong. They have like half governors.
The mama who was with whom I was son,
From
the one
Enugu.
from Enugu,
Yeah.
was telling me that it is majority Muslim.
Okay.
Maybe her side.
Okay.
Maybe she.
Nigeria.
So
it's majority Muslim.
yeah,
But that's what she told
Yeah,
me.
but then
Carry on, sorry.
I know with the
Didn't mean to
governors,
interrupt. Go ahead.
with the governors in Nigeria, and I could be wrong on this. I think they're half and half Muslim and Christian. They're about 36 governors. I think there might be 18 and 18. I could be wrong. Someone can Google to see. But I know out of around the last time I checked.
You're asking Bird?
The last time I checked, out of those 18 governors, there's about 5 of them who are Hafidhul Quran. Hafidhul Quran are people who've memorized the Quran. And these are governors. So that's one of the qualities they look for in those northern states, like before they elect you as a governor, which is very interesting because if you're a Hafidhul Quran in a Kenyan county that's predominantly Muslim, most likely they will not vote for you, which is a very different
If you're
dynamic.
what?
If you're a Hafidhul Quran, Remember, I just said a Hafidul Quran
The master.
is someone who's not mastered, memorized
Memorized.
in Arabic.
The entire.
Yes, word for word. It's around 666 pages divided into 30 parts, which are called chapters. Yes, word for word. And part of the reason why that's very important, and I know it's very unusual, you know, like, I said, man, why are you memorizing a book that you already have? Well, can't you just go read it? So now, when the Imam stands there and says, Qala Allahu Ta'ala, or Qala Rasul. Qala Allahu Ta'ala is, you know, like God said, or Qala Rasul is a prophet said, or the prophet said. When he says something and maybe refers to a certain verse of the Quran, let me tell you, even the slightest error in even a vowel, a 10-year-old kid will correct him. So this is a self-check and balance. Even when leading the prayers, you know, like there's certain, you know, like you can choose what parts. There's one, there's Surah Al-Fatiha, which is the mandatory part in all the 2, 3, or 4 rakats, or the 4 parts of whichever prayer you're praying, depending on which prayer you're praying. And then there's any other part of the Quran that you can choose. So if you read something and you even make a slight error, someone right there in that front queue randomly, and just go to any mosque, and I'm gonna send you guys a video of someone who did this experimentally on a crowd, you know, like just read, try even to make an error on a vowel or a character, immediately you'll be corrected. So that's a self-correcting mechanism that stops on the tracks. Anyone
So anyone
Once.
is welcome
So,
to
so it's like saying,
Oh, yes.
instead of saying
that.
plural, you say plural. If you
Oh
say
yes,
plural.
yes.
So someone will be like, that was wrong.
Yes, someone
Right
will
there and then.
right there.
So you can question
if
authority.
in fact, if it's during the prayer,
Yeah.
it's actually, when you look at the pillars of prayer, it's required. Like because they give the imam the benefit of the doubt that it was just an error, a mispronunciation. But because there's ma'mumas, people who are following the imam, they are required. In fact, you're told, like, if you're the one, especially if you're the one who's standing right behind the imam, because you know there's no special positions in a mosque. It is first come, first serve. Whether sijui you're a governor of what state, or sijui you're a cousin to who, there's no such thing. The way the arrangement is, there are no chairs. So it's whoever arrives first, there are no aisles. You know, it's whoever arrives first occupies, you know, like the first. So ukifika late, itabidi umekaa huko nyuma. But most of the time, you know, like within that first serve, there's people, and the surahs that are being read are typically short. So majority of the people have memorized those surahs. So that's just one of a very, very big guardrail that I never got to understand on why that tradition is extremely important and it's still practiced. You know, like the Somali community, you know, like are very good. You know, they produce a lot of kids who've memorized the Quran. So and it's normal. You know, like you have 9-year-olds who've done it. You have 7-year-olds. I mean, it is so amazing. I never used to believe this. You know, like when we were young, we're being told, oh, unajua kuna watoto kule Lamu ambao wamehifadhi Quran. Me, I just be in my mind like, you know, hiyo ni story, because there was no way of proving. But now, you know, like, and in Nigeria especially, you have those who've memorized to a point, like someone can read a random, from the middle of a random chapter, from the middle of a random surah in the Quran, and that kid will continue. We'll read the next 3-4 verses. So that's a guardrail.
That's a big guardrail.
So that's a guardrail that I'm
And-
trying to
and-
make people understand.
And can I also say the fact that anyone can correct?
Yes.
Because as I said, some of these things that we end up having with these preachers is, number one, they assume God status. You know, God with a small g.
Yeah.
God status, that you can't talk to them, you can't correct them. Matter of fact, that is authority not supposed to question. You're questioning. It's like akin to questioning God himself. And so what happens is they preach fluff. Because I'm not going to call that the word of God they're preaching. They preach fluff. Nobody can call them out on it, right?
Yeah.
And if you have an issue with it, you end up actually, it's easier for you to actually leave the church than you to go and try to say, that was not right.
Yeah.
You know, so I think as you say, that's a huge guardrail I can
Yeah.
see in terms of like making sure that the faith is very people don't veer off and start making this
Yeah.
ridiculous claims
It-
about
you know-
about the faith that actually are not.
It's such a big guardrail that if, for example, I read, like one of the first chapters of the Quran as kids, we are the first surahs we are required to memorize. It's called Surah Al-Fatiha, and Fatiha is just the opening. Like it starts, like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which is in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. So Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Even that if I say because Arabic is another very, I don't know what to call it. There is an A that's pronounced
It's like this, the Kamba vowels, the native language vowels.
Yeah, so there's like for example, like I don't know what Arabic word or what Arabic name I can give you that start with an or like my name, like Ali, which is what like someone who understands English or Kiswahili will say the name. The actual pronunciation is Ali, so it has to come from the throat. So Ahmad is not an it's an so it's Ahmad. So even that there's a and then there's another, there's a H that has so like when you're saying a name like Halima, Halima has a soft and then Hamza has a bit of
It's
a bass.
drawn, yeah, it's drawn.
So those are two different letters of the alphabet. So even that wrong pronunciation. So if like there's a portion where someone says Ali and it's supposed to be you say and it's supposed to be you will get corrected. And these are some of the nuances. This is why we spend so much time in educating in madrasas. People wonder why Muslims take so much time. Like you're going to school. Like for me, for example, I used to go to school Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ni madrasa, like Saturday mpaka 4, Sunday naisha 1. And kids in places like Mombasa and Lamu, hata kama unaenda regular school, toka skuli, nenda madrasa. So not only Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday wanapatiwa break. So there's a lot of detail, like that goes into that. And that is to create a guardrail from the overall community, because Islam has had this experience of false prophet from its very founding, like from the very beginning. So the last prophet, of course, was Prophet Muhammad. After Prophet Muhammad died, the first Khalif was Khalif Abu Bakr, who was one of the closest companions to the prophet. He reigned, I think, for about 2 years, give and take. Could be wrong on that, but it was give and take. So during that period, because they saw how much power, because not only was he able to spread Islam within 23 years within big parts of the Arabian Peninsula, but he was able to people saw the power of this, because prior to that, Arabs were living in what was called Jahiliyyah. They were pagans. They were worshipping idols. There was a lot of things that were going on there. So when he was able, so I keep telling people, sometimes Islam is as new to the Arabian Peninsula as it is to Africa. But that's a topic that we can talk about another day, which people don't want to discuss, because one of the first people, the first batch of people, I think in the top 10, and I say this because I don't have my notes here. In the top 10, one of the first people to convert was an Abyssinian. Where is Abyssinia? Ethiopia, a black Abyssinian called Bilal. This is not me. This is one of those things that you can ask Bird or Google. Yeah. That was one, and there was a there was a group of Abyssinians who did convert, but we'll talk about that some other time. I don't want to get out of my point. So the false prophets, we started getting them at that particular time, and how Khalif, because back in those days, and people need to have this historical context. Back in those days, when you declare you're a prophet, because the religion is what controlled the state, it was like committing treason in the US. So guess what used to talk? You're claiming you're a false prophet. Guess what talks? Panga, sword, unakatwa kichwa. And that's how Khalif Abu Bakr dealt with them. Anybody, they were given the chance, okay, you claim you're a false prophet, apologize, get back in line, but if you still insist, Panga, because there was a war. Those they're called the Reader Wars. For those who like history, you can go Google them. It was waged in 11 fronts, and that's where the false prophet problem was stemmed. And not that they haven't come up here and there, but that's how intolerant that's why we really get fearful when we hear people calling themselves prophet. Because I mean, like today, I don't think, even anybody who has the guts within the Islamic faith, it's very difficult to find someone calling themselves a prophet. Not saying that they're none, but it's very difficult. But that's another guardrail that was created very early to prevent this problem of false prophets. Because the issue of false prophets is a historical one. It constantly used to happen. Now, besides the Quran, the other guardrails, because that's just the first guardrail. We have what's called the Hadith and Sunnah. Hadith, these are verifiable quotes where you can track the sourcing of where they came from on things that are maybe not necessarily very clear in the Quran. That's the next level we go. And then we have Sirah, the stories of the Prophet, and another guardrail called Fiqh, which is now jurisprudence, which is what you hear fatwa. I mean, of course, CNN will make fatwa sound different. I've shared a couple of fatwas with Uno Mike when we're experiencing certain issues recently, like with Islamic State. That's one very recent issue that the faith was experiencing, where the faith had to deal with it internally. And you had the highest scholars, I think about 90 of them, who wrote a fatwa, like line by line, describing all those positions of Islamic State, why they're not Islamic. And you see, in a fatwa, you cannot just say that you think this is not, you have to explain. You have to, they have to quote where this is coming from, if it's a ayah, if it's a hadith. It was a document that, if I find, I'm going to share the link. That's very recent, from Texas, Yasir Qadhi, he's not necessarily written a fatwa, but he's spoken against these things. So those are other guardrails that are created to prevent these things from going viral. Another guardrail that we've been using, when these new mediums come, because when radio came, there was a lot of debates on whether we want, first of all, to take that audio to the radio, because we don't know what kind of medium it is. When the radio was new, there was very interesting debates. Now we were born with radio, so it seems kind of silly, but it was a big deal. TVs were allowed, let me say in Saudi Arabia, they were allowed when the king back then, achana na Salman, Muhammad bin Salman, yuko na story zake zingine. But the king back then, for the king to allow TVs to be, because they knew about TVs and they knew, about what they were showing in places like the US. So they did not want to bring that into the culture there, because TV was also fairly new. But what changed their minds is when they were shown now the ulamas, because it's the kingdom.
Ulamas, okay.
The ulamas are scholars. Neo ni Kiswahili pia.
Okay.
Ulama is a scholar.
Okay.
So the scholars, because the scholars, it's kind of separate, like MBS is trying to kill that religious authority that the scholars have, but the kingdom, the king and his people had to show a video of someone reading the Quran to the ulamas for them to accept it. So there's a very deliberate process on any new medium that comes up. The internet was also new. There was also these debates that happened, and it was also decided that we have to go into these mediums because our kids are gonna be in here. So they also need to find, when they're getting this message, they also need to find a counter if it's not true. So now we have AI, and that's a current debate that's happening right now, because I've already picked up a lot of inaccuracies on AI, on general stuff and even on religious stuff that's very factual. So the last part, in defense of Christianity.
Yes.
As a Muslim, I think, first of all, one of the bigger issues that I'm hearing a lot of Kenyan Christians saying, and I'm talking about Kenya because these are the people I interact with the most. A lot of Christians who maybe are falling out with the church. One of the common traits that comes up is, this religion was brought and it stopped us from, practicing our cultures. It took our cultures away, and very, very legit concern. And people now are getting in touch, people are trying to get in touch with their cultures and everything with the internet, and people are trying to get back in touch. But I think it's important. That's why I say, like all religious institutions, churches, mosques, synagogues, they need to start teaching, like factual history. Fact number one, Christianity was in Africa before it was in Europe. And I know this sounds like Greek
No, it doesn't.
to you,
Okay.
but to a lot of people I've told,
yeah.
it sounds like Greek. And earlier on, I said Islam is as new to the Arabian Peninsula as it is to Africa. But let's talk about Christianity here. So here, this is not Ali Badawi's opinion. This is something that you can check. One of the oldest Christian kingdoms is Abyssinia, which was formerly, it came from the Aksumite era. We're talking about this whole new Christian era, about 2,000 years. And this is the interesting part. So Christianity is blamed for taking away African cultures. But when you look at Ethiopians, they're the Africans who've been practicing Christianity for the longest. And I would say, debatably, they're the most cultured. They're among the most cultured Africans. When you're talking about, like African cultures, they're the most cultured. So ask yourself a question. If these people who've been practicing Christianity for 2,000 years, and they happen to be very in touch with the African culture, so why is it that most of this other country had, like cultures almost taken away by the advent of Christianity? So what I need to tell people, and Ethiopia practices, like a very orthodox form of Christianity.
Yeah.
By orthodox, it means like it's closest to its most original form. Yeah. So remember, the Christianity, of course, in Kenya, for example, in most parts of Kenya, came through, before colonization, the missionaries came. It came through the missionaries. And when you go back from the missionaries, when we go back to, people read a Bible called the King James Version, which I used to score 30 out of 30 CRE primary. Mrs. Malinda, my CRE teacher, alikuwa
You
kisomea
did
watu.
CRE?
Absolutely. Yes, I did CRE
Interesting.
because we had no choice. And to me, that was very brave of our parents to
I
allow us. It was
know.
very brave of them.
Very.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was because there was
Actually,
limited choices.
I went to a Muslim school. So
The-
like for me, CRE required 2 classes.
Yeah.
So Muslims would go to IRE and they would do the CRE.
IRE was a more recent addition, and it was in a few schools. So most schools
Okay.
only had a
most
CRE
schools didn't
teacher.
have IRE.
They didn't have IRE. So I did CRE.
And that teacher actually
Yeah.
was an issue, yes.
Yeah, so I did CRE.
Or the Muslim.
Yeah. My teacher, Mrs.
Cleric or
Malinda,
whatever.
one of my favorite teachers, she was also my class teacher. Alikuwa kisomea watu. Alikuwa sometimes anachapa watu viboko. Ali akikuchapa CRE, na wewe ni Mkristo, this and this and this is what will happen. But story for another day. So I've read a bit of the Bible.
Okay.
I need to come back and so the King James Version, which is what I think is predominantly read in English speaking countries. I think one question that people quickly need to ask themselves is, who is King James? Anybody who knows, please quickly type in the comments and tell us who King James is, because the Bible is called KJV, King James Version. So the King James Version dates back a little over, is it 300 or 400? My math is failing me. 1611, 2023. Who's good in math? It's over 400 years. It's slightly over 400 years. That's how old the KJV is.
Yeah.
And the King James Version, actually King James, let me just reveal.
It was a King James, yeah.
Let me just reveal who King James is. King James is the great-great-great-grandfather of King Charles. Yeah. He's a great-great-grandfather.
It was an English king.
Yes, he was an English king.
Yeah.
And that's who that version was named after.
That's because he wanted it translated to English.
So that was one of the reasons why it was named, after him. If now you go look at from Christian sources. I'm not even telling you to look at other non-Christian sources. When you look at Christian sources, to one of the reasons why he wanted to translate and what happened during the translation process, because this was being translated from, I think, the Hebrew and predominantly Greek, because at that point there was a lot of most of the Bibles were written in Greek. So that's where some verses were lost, some
meanings,
some chapters Some books were taken out. And by the way, when I talk about this, I'm talking history. I'm not talking about, like this is better than this. So I think with that, what we call it fitna, unajua kwa Kiswahili fitina, with that fitna being introduced, it opened up a door. Because even up to that time, when it was being translated from because originally it was written in a language called Aramaic, which is a very ancient form of Hebrew, and then to the more modern Hebrew, and then to Greek. Those were the predominant languages of the Bible. And like, remember, go back to the story I told you about, very simple translations and what it can do. So that's where the fitna started coming in, and that's the reason why there's a lot of different versions and a lot of different interpretations. And that's why, going back to the guardrails that we are using, one of it is refer back to the Arabic version. So we can disagree on the English and the Kiswahili version, but we can always go back to that. So that right there is not available. So to me, my advice to Christians, because as Muslims, and this is a very controversial statement, like, I hope some of the Haram police don't catch me.
Mika's not listening.
I think, and this is now my personal opinion, this is not it's not coming from any authoritative source. Like, let me not even say as Muslims, but as a Muslim, I think we want to see, or rather we'd rather see more Christians than seeing atheists or people who are just agnostic towards religion. And again, I'm coming back to say this is my personal opinion, because Christians and Jews are regarded very highly in the Quran. They are not, because they're different categories of people. And another interesting conversation I was having with Ruth earlier today, they're regarded so highly that in the Islamic faith, you're allowed to marry from amongst people of the book, a Christian and a Jew. And I know that's something that doesn't happen very common, but go ask anyone. You're allowed to do that. So back to the defense of Christianity, I honestly think, first of all, on that issue of culture, because we already have a working culture within Africa that has been practicing Christianity for a very long time and never lost their culture, I think people need to start looking towards Ethiopia. I know there's a different language there. There's a different it's a different culture. It's an African culture. Let's not call it different. It's an African culture. It should be closer to what we have than what we're getting from Europe and other parts of the world. So I think that's one place that people need to start looking towards, rather than thinking like, let's abandon Christianity, and go back to practice, what our forefathers were practicing. The reality is that original Christianity never ever stopped anyone from practicing their culture, with the exceptions of very extreme stuff. Like, for example, there's certain cultures, like, for example, I'll go like to the Arab world, because Arabs also have Christians. There's certain extreme cultures where they used to bury daughters. Like, if you have a first-born daughter, how is that? Mauda to Suila. Sorry, I think in different languages, but they used to bury their daughters. They used to bury, if you have a first-born daughter, bury, because it was like a sign of bad luck. Or so those extreme cultures, a lot of the major religions, like forbidden, like I know Islam outrightly, like that's what ended that culture in the Arab world. So back to Christianity, I really don't think, like the original version of Christianity, like ever stopped people, was designed to stop people from practicing whatever different cultures they had. But then this new, and I'm sorry to say, this new King James version that the missionaries came with, which was a whitened version of Christianity, is what was introduced to a lot of, especially the British colonies in Africa, is what ended up becoming very problematic.
Fitna.
Yeah.
True. And in agreement with Ali, I don't think the problem was introduction of religion in these colonies. I think it's them saying, for us to actually say you are a good Christian, you have to stop your culture as a people. I think that is where
That's problematic.
That is what the problem started. It was more like they both could not coexist.
Yeah.
It had to be one or the other, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not, if you decide I'm not gonna do this the way you prescribe it, then you become an outcast.
Yeah.
So it became more conforming. Christianity became a more conforming thing, so that you can be acceptable.
And then another small nuance, also this is a history lesson, to where, like this King James Version, like going back again, it came, I can't remember the exact dates, but it came from when the Roman Empire accepted Christianity as the original faith. I can't remember the name, Emperor Constantine, who accepted Christianity as was the one who converted to Christianity and made Christianity the official religion, and everyone, because that's what used to happen back in those times. If your chief converts to everybody follows. It's just how the world was structured at that time.
Yeah.
Because I know without that nuance, people will wonder, that's just how the world was structured at that time. And at that time, when it was happening, the Romans were pagans. So they had very strong pagan traditions. And one of those strong pagan traditions, for Emperor Constantine to get buy-in from the population, he had to get a version that was mixed with some of those traditions. And some of them have lasted until today. And this is history. This is not Ali Badawi, so please don't read my name. This is history, and one of those traditions was the date of Christmas. It was a pagan holiday. And by the way, I emphasize, please Google this.
Oh, I think people do know about Christmas.
No,
not.
people don't. Actually, people
do.
Okay,
Do.
some people do. Let's say some
A ton
people
of people
do.
know.
Yeah. So this
After Easter,
reindeers,
even Easter, everybody
eggs,
knows that.
Eggs, reindeers.
Yeah.
All this came from pagan traditions. This is too deep. This is too much. I'm gonna let Uno Mike have the last word. But that was my piece.
Can I
defending
say
Christianity
Can
as
I
a
say
Muslim.
one thing before we end?
Okay.
So, I think, and this is bringing conversations
I've loved that history part.
This is bringing conversation from outside the show into the show, but it's fine. I think one of the things we were talking about today is how Christianity is feeling like, what you're seeing as if people are living the faith.
Yeah.
I think what Christianity in the world is experiencing is a cultural shift, right? And I think the biggest trigger was Donald Trump's election to president, and him being somehow touted as the best Christian ever, like
God sent
Christian, right? When he does not espouse any of the values of Christianity.
2 Corinthians.
Two.
That's what he said.
He said 2 Corinthians.
Yeah, he said 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Not even like
Well,
the
at
second.
least
Instead of second.
there's that one.
Yeah.
And then there was an interview. He was told, just give one of your
Couldn't
most
even come up
favorite
with it.
Bible verses. Just one.
Couldn't come up with it.
Even Jesus wept.
Not even that one.
Nothing, right? So there is
My CRE teacher, Mrs. Malinda, whips.
there is, I see, at least Jesus wept. They couldn't even come up with anything. But
John 11:35.
In the beginning.
That I know, even in the beginning.
Man, Trump.
I think there is a cultural shift happening in the Christian faith, and it's the reckoning of we have to separate the fluff from the real thing. And what especially young people are doing, and I tell you, millennials are in the forefront of this thing, is like, if I go to church and my pastor is not speaking, it's not, whatever the pastor is speaking does not match what I'm reading in the Bible, like, but I just don't come to church, right? Like, people just like leave in churches in drove because it does not add up to them, right? So, but it's funny, these people are not really living the faith, they're living that cultural space.
Yeah.
Because it's become, it does not, what's the word? It's not, the word is toxic. The word is not toxic, but toxic is one of them. But it's, it does not mesh. Like, what I read and what you're preaching, two different things. Like, whatever you're saying has no basis to what the word says, right? And I think there is that, and this will continue until there's a new reorder of, I don't know what to call it. Like, so there's the word is called deconstruction. People deconstructing their faith is more like, whatever they're preaching is not what I think it is. I'll just stick to the Bible
Yeah.
and nyie muendelee venye mnaendelea.
No. To support your point before we wrap up, I think you mentioned deconstruct, which goes back to Ali's point. There needs to be history because
Absolutely.
once you learn history, once you really truly learn history, then you first deconstruct, then you can construct.
Yeah.
Because I think most religion people have left because of that is just not
It's
right.
not right.
Yeah.
TB
And-
Joshua is not right.
Exactly.
You know, like
and there has to be a deconstruction of what people know
yeah.
initially. Deconstruct. Okay, we need to go
Back to
the
basics.
bare bones.
Back
Yeah.
basics.
and then from there, because right now, if you tell people that there was Christianity even before,
Yes.
like it was even, people, one, will not believe. Two,
Yes.
tell people Christmas holiday, December 25th was a pagan holiday.
Absolutely.
My friend, itabidi uvae a special suit with a helmet.
But you know the good thing about today is that this information is
It's
hidden
online.
in plain sight.
That's
But
that's
it's
what I'm
funny.
saying.
I learned that. Remember, I told you like I grew up in that was teaching. I knew Christmas was not like when Jesus was born. It was a date picked.
I just knew it was when Jesus was born.
So that's what I'm telling you.
As a young toy.
Interesting.
Oh, yes.
That's what I'm telling you. You're not average on these matters
Yes.
because, but a majority, I'm telling you, 90% of the people, a lot
Yes.
of people are now learning this. There's a law in Massachusetts back before when the British were still colonizing the Americas. There was a law that was passed in Massachusetts, and I'm gonna try to find it, that banned the celebration. I think it was both Christmas and Easter because they were considered pagan traditions.
Oh well.
Na wahenga
Mass.
walinena.
We're not gonna talk about Halloween. We're not gonna talk about it.
Well,
Or Thanksgiving.
Massachusetts is good about that.
Yeah.
All
Now-
of those ones.
Na wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho, meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. I think Mika dropped off. So Ruthie Ruth.
Jet lag finally set in.
Yeah, right.
I know you did warn us. He did warn us.
Yeah, but he did.
Yeah.
Haya, twende kazi.
First day back to studio. I think we came with so much fire. I hope we keep this going. Although I have to call us out today. We need to keep the time.
Call.
Call us out.
No. This one,
no,
no.
Mosh.
You may attend, please.
I don't understand what
we
you're
don't
saying.
take-
Take the average of the last 30 episodes
I
on who's been the most latest.
we what?
I mean, the average of the
Anyway.
last 30 on who's been the most latest.
Okay.
Is that correct English?
And I don't
Latest
know what you're
most?
talking
Yeah,
about
okay.
actually. So what you cut map I'll
Good
get back
thing
to
here.
you.
Good thing here is not the and the.
Yeah. Na English ni language ya meli. You know, interestingly, I learned Swahili and Arabic before I could speak any English word. But that's a story for another day.
It was really nice connecting with everybody in the new year. I cannot wait to see what this year has in store for us. Have a great weekend, and yeah, so happy to be back in the studio.
Go Ravens. Omosh fire.
Go Ravens.
Oh yes, that's what's up.
Hey, you guys, I don't even have words for you. We'll see you guys next week. It's good to be back.
Jet lag.
I don't have words. Oh yeah, Ravens. Lama is gonna do that thing.
Better ask somebody.
He is doing that thing.
Not shabby for a running back.
And that Tiang character atakuja kujua. Hajui.
Oh, Jabali Africa, Muzi.
Atakuja kujua hajui. Cheje jeng.
Jeng. Muzi. Okay, asante sana Omosh. Thank you so much. Ruth, thank you so much Omosh. Mika, I know you've dropped off. But yeah, and of course, appreciation to all the audience. Steven JJ, Slay, Washeke, and all the other new audience members. Wale walikula highlights, ndo kwa sababu wana to watch, drop hapo. Na, and tell us whether you like that feature, ama kama it seems like one of those the baggy features that you don't like. Doreen Selly, we're gonna schedule a show with you. Hapo tutaongea kando, you know, like wow, very intense topics we've had today. We've talked about Gaza. We talked about What else did we talk about?
Christianity.
Mpaka nimesahau. Christianity was
TB Joshua.
before TB Joshua. What were we talking
Zakayo.
about?
Joshua.
Yeah, we're talking about
Zakayo.
taxes in Kenya.
Taxes,
And then
Kenyan life.
Yes, and then we talked about so TB Joshua morphed into just certain aspects of religion. And to me, this is my message again to Christians. This is Ali Badawi as a Muslim. Like one of the things that I mentioned is that one of the big narratives. One reason social media has done a lot of good, and we use it for a lot. But one problem that social media has created is that it has given credibility to rogue people, and the algorithm does not favor the people who are experts or the people who give the right information. So there's certain narratives that have been traveling around. One of those common narratives is that these major religions, like Islam and Christianity, are very recent to Africa, which they're not. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, Ethiopia, which was Abyssinia, going back to the Aksumite era, been practicing Christianity while Europeans were still barbarians, while they were hacking each other to death. Like where life was not nasty, brutish, and short. There's a philosopher who said that. I don't even remember his name. In the Roman Empire that later adopted Christianity, guess what they used to do to Christians? And the Roman Empire is basically Europeans. They used to kill them. They used to persecute. So you had to practice Christianity secretly. So while the Romans were persecuting Christians, even long after Jesus was no longer there, people in what's modern day Ethiopia already practicing Christianity. So my advice, because there's that culture issue that comes up, Ethiopia has maintained their culture despite being one of the cultures in Africa that has practiced Christianity for the longest. Look up to the Ethiopians to find out how they were able to do that. Going back to Islam, I said something that I did not substantiate, that this religion is as new to the Arabian Peninsula as it is to Africa. Among the first converts. Remember back in those periods, when you look at the Red Sea right now is so much in the news. Back in those days, those were the superhighways. Wachana na hizi sijui mnaita bypass. Back in those days, water were the superhighways. So people across water bodies were more likely to interact with each other than people across dry land. So people within those coasts, there was a lot of interaction. So there was a lot of, in fact, an interesting fact I forgot to mention. Abyssinia was so powerful that it had colonies in the Middle East. That's a story for another day. It was so powerful, it had colonies in the Middle East, in modern day Yemen. Yes. What? Yes, it had, and how I got to know, but anyway, that's going to be a long story. But Abyssinia, this is just another historical fact that you can Google. It had vassal states in Yemen. And when one of the first places that Muslims were being persecuted when Islam was new, over 1450 years ago, one of the first places that were sent was to a Christian kingdom. Guess which kingdom it was for protection? Abyssinia. Abyssinia, what's called Habasha. So in the Quran, or rather in, I don't know whether Habasha has specifically been mentioned in the Quran because I don't want to misquote, but in the books of Sirah, in the history of Islam, that's how Ethiopia is referred to. And there's a king, Najashi, I can't remember the name of the king, historically, that's where they went for refuge, and that was the first contact with Islam, that Abyssinia. This time, the Islam has not even moved from the city of Makkah. When you think of the country of Saudi Arabia, forget about the whole Arabian Peninsula, just the country of Saudi. It has not moved from Makkah. It hasn't even gone to Medina, which is very close, which is by modern day standards, is not too far from Makkah. So Islam is not even there, but it's already in the African continent. And again, this is not according to Ali Badawi. You can ask Google Bird. You can ask Chat GPT. Kwa hayo machache, yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile ile 1-800 mte ule. Operator kishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Jerry, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.